Chapter 689. Jiang Zhao smiled embarrassedly. Looking at how you're working so hard for Shenxian, why do I feel like I'm taking advantage of her when she's down? How can that be the same? Shenxian is my sister. The Shen family owes her a favor. I can't possibly not repay it. Shenxian wanted to pull his arm out and let Shenxian sleep on her own. However, when he moved, Shenxian couldn't help but be startled. Then, in a daze, she reached out and grabbed onto his clothes tightly. Jiang Zhao pressed his palms together. Don't move. This girl was so scared that she couldn't sleep last night. She only dares to sleep now that you're by her side. This matter isn't entirely due to my grandfather's efforts. The conditions you offered were indeed good. Grandfather Pei is also a thoughtful person. He didn't make such a decision to give anyone face. If he wasn't willing, I think that even if we talked our heads off, it wouldn't have worked. Jiang Zhao, you're always like this. You make it sound like you're advocating for the greater good. In the end, I still have to give you what you deserve. It's not wrong to say that you're a fox. You flatter me. There are many foxes in Haicheng. I'm just an inconspicuous one. Jiang Zhao looked at Shenxian and laughed softly. He simply sat down on a chair and started chatting with Shenkai. You're too humble. Shenkai wasn't in the mood to joke. Sigh. Anyway, I'll give you all the information on the family Ouyang when we get back. You can do it yourself. I'm not in the mood to think about other things. I know how you feel. It's fine as long as the Han family is appeased. Shenkai sighed. Sigh. I'm just afraid that it won't be enough. That little brat from the Han family likes our little rascal so much that he's crazy. Otherwise, he would have broken off the engagement long ago. It's just that Han Qiang refuses. Otherwise, that little rascal wouldn't have been causing trouble and trying to ruin his reputation. Han Qiang is pretty good. Why does Shenxian look down on him? Jiang Zhao was puzzled. The corner of Shenkai's mouth twitched speechlessly. You don't know? She said that Han Qiang was too good-looking, with a pair of peach blossom eyes that seduced women. He actually attracted flies, and when he got married in the future, he would definitely be a playboy. In the end, she didn't like the mediocre ones. In short, she didn't like them. She said she didn't like them. Jiang Zhao only said one word, go ahead. If I didn't do it, would this have happened? Now, she still has to marry a good-looking man. Moreover, it's a good-looking man who can't move in bed. Now that she's married, such a man will be honest. It's impossible for him to go out and seduce women. It's really worry-free. Shenkai shook his head and smiled bitterly. If it weren't for Shenxian's situation, I would have been amused by your words. You're really something. There's no other way. I'll get you a glass of water and put it on your bedside table. If you want to drink it later, you can get it yourself. Thank you. Pei Jincheng's mother, Ji Rong, was a traditional woman. She didn't participate in the family's decision-making, but she still couldn't accept the fact that her son was in a vegetative state. Her attitude was the same as Pei Xinwen's. She couldn't accept Shenxian marrying into the Pei family. Father, tell me, is it because of the dowry? Is it because our Pei family swallowed it down our throat worth that much money? Pei Li looked at his eldest daughter-in-law. After a long while, he closed his eyes and sat motionlessly on the main seat. However, the prayer beads in his hand were moving very quickly. When he moved the prayer beads, they seemed to be trembling because of the speed. After a while, Pei Li opened his mouth faintly. His voice wasn't loud, but it was soul-stirring. I'm not dead yet. In this family, I still have the final say, and I must have the final say. I've made this decision, and it's not to be refuted or disobeyed. You just need to carry it out. You don't need to ask for the reason, and I don't need to give you any explanation. When Jinsheng's health indicators are stable, pick a good day and hold a grand wedding. Ji Rong collapsed weakly in Pei Xianwen's arms. She looked at the old man who was still counting prayer beads with his eyes closed. She covered her mouth and didn't dare to cry out loud. The next morning after breakfast, they accompanied the Pei family to the hospital to see Pei Jincheng. There was a large glass wall outside the ICU ward. Yi Er stood beside Jiang Zhao. She just couldn't believe it. In fact, she couldn't see what the man inside looked like. However, the tubes all over his body made her feel sad. She hated places like the hospital. It was a place where people were sent back and forth from the gates of hell. Shen Xian stood quietly in front of the glass. She placed her hand on the glass and looked at the man lying motionless on the bed. Shen Xian patted her gently on the shoulder. Shen Xian sniffled almost inaudibly. "Brother, did you see that? Actually, he and I don't have any deep hatred. We're not close. His originally brilliant life was ruined by my hands. Brother, I regret it very much, really. I owe him, and I can't repay him in this lifetime. I also owe the Pei family, and I can't repay them." Shen Kai's back stiffened. Shen Xian spoke slowly and calmly. "Brother, don't be sad. I didn't feel wronged at all. This is what I deserve." Shen Kai took a shaky breath and turned around. His sister's tone made him have an impulse to go crazy. Shen Xian came from a good family and was beautiful. Everyone held her in high regard. She was the only daughter in the family. As a result, her temper was very strong. Usually, she didn't know how to think for others and did what she wanted to do. The Han family's marriage alliance was something that happened when she was young. Ever since she became sensible, she had been making a fuss about breaking off the engagement. She had never cared about the awkwardness of it. The last time Ouyang Yan came to look for him, he even said that Ouyang Yan was the one who dumped Jiang Zhao, so why was she being so arrogant now? Thinking about it, she was really as annoying as Ouyang Yan. Shen Xian was also not easy to deal with. She was unhappy and wanted to break off the engagement. She didn't care about the family matters at all. These 2 years, she made more and more trouble, and he followed behind her to clean up the mess. Now, he felt that Ouyang Yan was annoying. But even if Shen Xian did the same thing, he couldn't hate her. He only felt sorry for her. After all, acne on other people's faces didn't make people worry. Only when needles pricked one's body did they know the pain. He remembered that a reporter asked a celebrity what kind of partner she wanted. The celebrity said that it was a man who could move. A man who couldn't even move on the bed, could he still be called a man? Shen Kai felt a ball of fire burning in his heart. His ears were filled with Shen Xian's comforting words. "Brother, don't be sad. I didn't feel wronged at all. This is what I deserve." Damn, she finally grew up. She finally knew that her mistakes made her family sad. But the price was too damn high. Pei Li was a person who had killed his way through the ups and downs of the business world. In his early years, he was still a little vicious. When he was 50 years old, he realized that his shortcomings were too obvious. So, he concentrated on studying Buddhism and cultivating his mind. So, after 50 years old, although his methods were not as fast and ruthless as when he was young, there was still strength in his softness. In the Qin family, Qin Rongfang had already given power to Qin Fian. He slowly handed over his own things to his grandson. It was different from the Qin family. The Pei family was like a kingdom in the south. The supreme king held great power, and his decisions on major matters were never disrupted by others. That king was Pei Li. He was slightly fat and dressed in Chinese clothes. The roots of his hair were very light, as if covered with a layer of snowflakes. He held the Buddha beads and fiddled with them gently. He looked kind and low-key. But at this time, he was staring at Shen Xian with a sharp gaze. Among the people present, only Qin Rongfang noticed his complicated gaze. Before they walked out of the hospital, Pei Li called out to Shen Xian. Shen Xian was like a child who had made a mistake. She put away her original sharpness and stood respectfully in front of Pei Li. Although Jincheng is now in a vegetative state, from the moment you married into the Pei family, you are no longer Miss Shen of the Shen family. You are the daughter-in-law of the Pei family. Everything that originally belonged to Jinsheng should be taken care of by you. This is your responsibility and obligation. Do you understand? Shen Xian raised her head and clenched her fists tightly. She looked at the old man who was fiddling with the Buddha beads. She was afraid, but she nodded firmly. I will do my best. I hope grandfather will nurture me. If I do anything wrong, I hope grandfather will forgive me. Pei Li seemed to be satisfied. Okay. With a sound, he walked past Shen Xian and walked out. Shen Xian knew that from this moment on, her life was no longer surnamed Shen. She wanted to live for someone else. When she lowered her head, 2 drops of water fell on the floor. It was like a big splash. She raised her hand to wipe her eyes and walked out resolutely. Yi Er and Jiang Zhao returned to Haicheng. Both of them were immersed in their own work. Jiang Zhao had asked Shua how to use his connections to find a retired soldier to be Yi Er's bodyguard. He couldn't stop Yi Er from working, but safety was the most important thing. Yi Er had to work. She had to work. She couldn't always rely on Jiang Zhao. Now, her entire family was dependent on Jiang Zhao. To be honest, even if Jiang Zhao raised 20 more people, her family could still afford it. She knew that Jiang Zhao had 2 very profitable companies. This feeling was very strange. In the past, it wasn't very strong. Jiang Zhao liked to use the method of raising her to show his male chauvinism. However, after Zhou Li swiped more than 3 million yuan from her card, Yi Er was completely enraged. If Zhou Li had spent her own money, it would have been fine. However, it was all Jiang Zhao's money. Even if it was work, Yi Er still couldn't do without Jiang Zhao. She thought carefully about the business advice that Xiaoya had told her before. In the end, she told Jiang Zhao to find out if there were any talent shows. It would be best if it was a national Latin dance competition or a celebrity's national Latin dance competition. She needed a dance partner. This way, her dance studio could provide contestants and teachers. Anyway, her teachers were very qualified. They weren't just for show. If she could become famous, she could become a judge in the future. She could rely on her name to make a living. Jiang Zhao quickly found a program for her. However, it wasn't a provincial program. It was a city program. This way, the viewership ratings would only be limited to the province. However, since it was her first time in the industry, it was a very good treatment to be able to be listed on the TV station. When Yi Er was fully immersed in her work preparations, Jiang Zhao felt that Yi Er had suddenly come back to life. She wasn't dead like before. Instead, it was as if another layer of petals had bloomed. It was very dazzling. Seeing Yi Er like this, Jiang Zhao was a little touched. He then asked Qin Fian to come to his office. Fian, in another 4 months, you should invest in a program at the provincial TV station. It's the same as the Dance Forest, that TV station 2 is doing now. It's not convenient for me to do it personally. I'll pay for it. Let Yunyi bring her people to participate first. Of course, the champion must be guaranteed to be Yunyi. After 2 rounds of this, she can become a judge in the future and raise her status. Brother, I realize that this method is a little similar to how Qiu Shaoye became famous. Qin Fian sat on Jiang Zhao's desk and smiled mischievously. Why did you mention Xiaoya? There were so many ways to become famous. Only Qiu Shaoye was allowed to use that method to become famous. Moreover, he didn't think there was a problem. Qin Fian said meaningfully, Brother, you actually know that Qiu Shaoye is with Yichen, right? I only found out a while ago. He hid it for a long time. When I asked him, he didn't allow me to tell anyone. I don't know what he's thinking. Jiang Zhao glared at Qin Fian. I'm talking to you about serious matters now. I'm talking to you about serious matters too. Qin Fian turned sideways and looked at Jiang Zhao, who was going to get the file. He said earnestly, you have to know that sister-in-law is not Qiu Shaoye. Qiu Shaoye is Yichen's underground prostitute. Sister-in-law is your legitimate wife. You can't make sister-in-law the center of attention like Qiu Xiaoya. Jiang Zhao felt that Qin Fian was really pedantic. He had thought it through now. Yi Er's fame wouldn't affect him much. Why not? Yin Yi is still young. She wants to show her value. She feels that this process is very happy. I think she should take advantage of the enthusiasm now to pursue her dreams. Qin Fian's ability to add fuel to the fire was increasing day by day. And then? After she becomes famous, will you let people talk about your wife at tea parties and after meals? He snorted. Brother, you're not such a generous person. Let me tell you, when you go on those shows to dance, look at what those women are wearing. Latin, rumba, cha-cha, tango. Anyway, just look at them. When they spin in a circle, they're showing off their tights. They're even hugging your wife and spinning, lifting her up, hugging her. Qin Fian didn't see the change in Jiang Zhao's expression. His gaze became more and more uncomfortable. He continued, let me tell you, I didn't agree with sister-in-law opening this dance studio. But since she's already opened it, it doesn't matter if she's the boss. In fact, it's enough to make a little money. Don't think about making her famous. People in the arts like to say that they pursue the harmony of the soul. Just wait and see. If there's a spark between them while dancing, it'll be too late for you to cry. What nonsense are you talking about? Your sister-in-law is not that kind of woman. Don't add fuel to the fire. Jiang Zhao took the file and ignored Qin Fian. He simply sat on the sofa in the reception room and flipped through it slowly, leaving Qin Fian alone at the desk. You still don't believe me? Qin Fian wouldn't let go of a chance to make Jiang Zhao repent. Hey. He hurried to the reception area and sat on the sofa on the other side. Brother, don't blame me for not reminding you. Let me tell you, those duet groups, those pair figure skating groups, and don't even talk about those national dance groups. They're all in the name of pursuing art. On the road to pursuing art, they eat their partners into their stomachs. The people I'm talking about in this field are quite a lot of people who get married and have extramarital affairs, right? Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 690. Jiang Zhao did not say anything, but Qin Fian was very anxious. Don't talk about office romance. Love can develop over time, let alone a man and a woman hugging each other and doing some difficult moves. I asked you to hug a beautiful woman and practice dancing for a few hours every day. Try it. Don't you have any reaction at all? Fine, you don't have any reaction now. You have sister-in-law. Qin Fian deliberately helped Jiang Zhao. But what about before you had sister-in-law? Do you dare to pat your chest and say that you definitely wouldn't have any reaction? Let me tell you, in order to practice those wonderful dances, sometimes you need to do some difficult moves, such as throwing, lifting, or large spins. These are not things that can be done with skill alone. You have to put your life and safety in the other party's hands. This requires a lot of tacit understanding between partners. Brother, touch your conscience and tell me, are you willing to let sister-in-law reach that level of tacit understanding with another man? Even her life and safety in the hands of that man without any hesitation? This kind of competition takes 4 months at the municipal level, and the provincial level takes even longer. For such a long time, you let sister-in-law reach that level of tacit understanding with another man every day, and in the end, she became the champion. Can you really continue to watch? How could Jiang Zhao continue to watch the dossier? Watch my ass. His mood of wanting to create a blue sky for Yi Er was completely ruined. When he was talking to Yi Er, it was clearly an art to show the concept of beauty. Now, when it came out of Qin Fian's mouth, it became a filthy scene. He wavered, brother, listen to me. You really can't make sister-in-law as famous as Xiaoya Qiu. Moreover, they are in different fields. Even if Xiaoya Qiu becomes famous, there won't be any male partners. That's why Yi Chen is willing to let her become famous and let her have her way. But how can sister-in-law do this kind of competition dance alone? You like to keep everything to yourself. If something really goes wrong in the future, you will definitely regret it. Qin Fian kindly advised again. Jiang Zhao rolled his eyes at him and looked down at the file in his hand. However, the words on the file had all been blurred out. It showed men and women hugging and dancing together. During the climax of the music, the man threw the woman up and spun her around. It was frightening to watch, as if the woman was going to be thrown out of the man's hands. However, the woman was calm and composed, as if she did not feel the danger at all. The two of them communicated silently with their eyes. The music came to an end. The two of them hugged each other tightly, their necks intertwined. The music paused for more than 10 seconds, and the two of them had to smile happily on the stage and hold hands to express their gratitude during the curtain call. When I receive the award, I have to thank my partner. He understands me very well. He was the one who accompanied me all the way here. When we trained together. In short, he said a lot of pretentious words. Jump my ass. Don't jump. There was no room for discussion. Yes, Fei Yan was right. He wouldn't be so generous as to give his wife to another man. Qingfeng Garden. Qiu Shaoya sat obediently on the sofa, sneezing again and again. Her ears were burning. She wondered who missed her so much. Zhuang Yichen never expected that Xiaoya's parents would come to Qingfeng Garden even though it wasn't the weekend. Usually, he didn't come over during the weekend because father and mother Qiu would come over to help Qiu Shaoya tidy up the house. Today, he was really cursed. He bumped into them just as he was about to leave. The few of them stood in the living room. Father Qiu was a little nervous. He didn't look at Zhuang Yichen. He felt that this man's aura was too strong and he wasn't used to it. Mother Qiu, on the other hand, looked at Zhuang Yichen carefully. Auntie. Boss Qiu's boyfriend? Mother Qiu asked directly. Zhuang Yichen looked a little awkward. Xiaoya scratched her head and interrupted, Mrs. Qiu, my colleague. I'm here to deliver a document. Zhuang Yichen nodded in agreement. He was still polite. Yes, I'm here to deliver a document to Xiao. Xiaoya. He was used to calling Qiu Xiaoyao by her nickname. It wasn't strange for him to call her by such a pretentious nickname. Oh, I see. Mother Qiu looked at Zhuang Yichen and sneered. She slyly pretended not to understand and asked, how come I didn't know that Xiaoya is working at Xingchen International now? She's the CEO's secretary now. But President Zhuang is much better looking than the picture on the cover of the finance magazine. After the compliment, her eyes shone with satisfaction. Xiaoya looked up and sighed. Oh no, Mrs. Qiu had taken a liking to Zhuang Yichen. Mrs. Qiu's research scope was too broad. She actually read finance magazines. Was she looking for inspirational stories again? Zhuang Yichen was stunned for half a second before he came back to his senses. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Xingchen International also wants to enter the clothing industry. They want to invite Xiaoya to join them. President Zhuang, are you close to Xiaoya? Mother Qiu was a cunning old fox. Or should I call her Miss Qiu or something? Xiaoya. That's quite close. When it came to business, one had to deal with whatever came their way. However, Zhuang Yichen was not prepared for such a situation. He wanted to put aside his pride and ask Xiaoya for help. Xiaoya seemed to understand and pulled Mother Qiu to sit on the sofa. Mom, it's not like you don't know that I do private customization. The clothes I make are all for people like President Zhuang. It's not strange that they know me for a long time. Oh, that's all? Mother Qiu looked at Zhuang Yichen again. Zhuang Yichen nodded. That's all. Oh. Oh, Mama Qiu said again, seemingly relieved. Zhuang Yichen was about to leave when Mama Qiu suddenly said to Xiaoya, your father and I are here today to drag you to the wedding. Married? Apart from Mother Qiu, everyone else in the room was stunned. Father Qiu was also stunned. However, he was sitting in an inconspicuous position and Mother Qiu's words had completely attracted Zhuang Yichen's attention. Therefore, he did not notice his sudden panic. Mother Chiu acted as though she did not see Zhuang Yichen. Since you are always looking down on this and that, I will make the decision. Xiaoya felt that she had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to have provoked such a difficult mother. She was not old, but her mother, who had nothing to do, actually racked her brains every day to find a man for her. Mom, I've said it before. I don't look like I lack a man. Mother Chiu comforted her calmly and said earnestly, Yanji, I told you that I look like I lack a son-in-law. I am in a huge debt now. Who would want me? Do you think I have hundreds of thousands of yuan? Do you think I can get it just by casually searching my bag? Mother Chiu suddenly said. Mother Chiu slapped her thigh. Hey, you don't say. I found you a man who patted his chest and promised to pay off your debt. A bald old man? Chiu Xiaoya only dared to think this way. Mother Chiu raised her eyebrows and described the man proudly. Young, tall, handsome and rich. Xiaoya smiled awkwardly. Mom, have you changed your career to writing romance novels? Mother Chiu gave Xiaoya a shove. Get lost. That was my dream when I was young. I don't have the energy to do that now. I have to worry about your marriage. Xiaoya thought to herself, you really dare to climb up just because you're given a vine. Mom, marriage is a big deal. You have to spend more time thinking about it. That's why I spent a lot of time thinking about it for you. I stayed up all night helping you research. It's not enough for a good man to just be rich. He has to be good looking. It's not enough to just be rich and good looking. He has to be cultured. It's not enough to just be rich and good looking. Xiaoya's shoulders drooped weakly as she raised her head and said, we have to have parents-in-law who are easy to get along with. It's not enough to be rich, good-looking, and cultured. We have to be considerate, tolerant, filial, and romantic. After Xiaoya finished reciting, she looked dispirited and helpless. She looked like she was about to cry as she said, Mom, you should go and write. You'll definitely do something. Really, you'll definitely achieve more than worrying about your daughter's marriage. Zhuang Yichen wanted to turn around and leave because the people here obviously didn't care about him. He had always had a strong presence. However, after confirming that he wasn't Xiaoya's boyfriend, Mother Chiu didn't even look at him. Instead, she kept promoting other men to Xiaoya. As if rooted to the ground, Zhuang Yichen was in an awkward situation. He was afraid that he would be suspicious if he stayed any longer, so Zhuang Yichen said politely, Uncle, Auntie, I will leave first. Okay. Take care. Mother Chiu's voice was full of enthusiasm. However, her eyes fell on Xiaoya and dropped another bomb. Hurry up and pack up. Ian has been waiting for too long. He said that you don't want to see him. He wants to marry you this time. If you say so, he will marry you immediately. He will help you pay off the debt. How is it? Young, right? Tall, right? Handsome, right? Rich, right? Not. Xiaoya's eyes suddenly widened. Her voice trembled. Mom. Don't joke around. Zhuang Yichen, who had just walked to the door, paused again. He heard Xiaoya's voice suddenly change in pitch. It suddenly rose and fell. In her incredulous tone, there was a strong sense of anticipation and unexpected loneliness. Kang Yun? Kang Yun proposed to Xiaoya. Last time in the wardrobe, he saw how Mother Chiu wanted to marry Xiaoya off. He didn't think it was a joke. His hand that was already holding the door handle couldn't press it down. However, he held the door handle tightly. After he let go, he turned around and looked at Xiaoya. Xiaoya, what about your promise to attend the new company's meeting in an hour? Xiaoya looked up and saw Zhuang Yichen's pleasant face. However, her eyes were full of tyranny. How should she say it? This was a question with no choice. I will go right away. I will go when the proposal is ready. President Zhuang, I think the meeting should be delayed for half an hour. You can only focus on your work after this important matter is solved. Mother Chiu smiled. She stood up and politely discussed with Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen stood there motionless. He didn't look like there was anything wrong with it. Instead, his outstanding temperament covered up his displeasure. Auntie, it's not right for more than a dozen people to wait for one person. Moreover, many of them came from other cities for the meeting. Some of them have already booked return tickets. If the company's interests are lost, I'm afraid that the interests of the employees will be affected in the future. Mother Chiu lowered her head and thought for a while. When she looked up, she was still in a dilemma. Okay, you should hurry to the meeting. I will discuss it with Ian. Anyway, the Civil Affairs Bureau closes at 5:30. Go ahead. Don't delay your work. Zhuang Yichen's eyebrows twitched, but he still smiled like a gentleman. Xiaoya, follow me to the company. After the meeting, we can solve this important matter as soon as possible. Xiaoya could feel Zhuang Yichen's anger. Zhuang Yichen was not a very patient person. If he hid a knife behind his smile, it meant that she was going to be in trouble. As expected, the silver Bugatti shot out of the neighborhood like an arrow. Xiaoya sat upright in the assistant's seat. Zhuang Yichen glanced at her. Aren't you going to explain to me? Xiaoya seemed to have suddenly come back to her senses. What? This B***starred woman actually didn't know what he was talking about. Was she blinded by the news of her marriage? Don't you need to explain to me about Kang Ian? Xiaoya spoke out of habit. Since when do I need to explain to you about my matters? When he stepped on the brakes, the car stopped by the roadside. Xiaoya rushed forward. Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen leaned over and pressed down on her. He opened his large palms and grabbed Xiaoya's butt between his thumb and index finger. He pinched it with 2 fingers and lifted it towards himself. He gritted his teeth and said, "Little demon Xiao, what kind of attitude is that when you talk to me?" Xiaoya frowned. Her mouth hurt, but she refused to admit defeat. What kind of attitude do you want? I asked you to explain to me about Kang Ian. She had been with him almost every day for the past few days. What was going on with her marriage with Kang Ian? When did Kang Ian go to look for her mother? Why did she suddenly have to register? She was too timing. She dared. I said I don't need to explain. Why should I explain to you? I won't explain to you. Good, good. Very good. Zhuang Yichen angrily opened the car door beside Xiaoya and released the seatbelt. Get out of the car. Xiaoya was stunned for a moment. Zhuang Yichen's slender eyes turned into blades. He was already sitting upright and shouted, "Get out of the car." Xiaoya let out a long breath. She closed her eyes and opened them. She glared at Zhuang Yichen and pushed the car door open. Just as her feet touched the ground, Zhuang Yichen's voice sounded ruthlessly. "Little demon Xiao, you'd better not provoke me. You can't afford to provoke me. You can settle Kang Ian's matter yourself. Otherwise, I won't let any of the scum related to you off." Xiaoya's back trembled. A gust of cold air froze her spine. When she clenched her fists, her breath was trembling. She turned around and glared at Zhuang Yichen. She gritted her teeth and said angrily, "Zhuang Yichen, you're getting more and more involved now. You've really stretched your hands too far. We've already agreed not to interfere with each other's business." The man leaned back in his seat. The sunlight shone on him, and his handsome face was sharp. His eyes were cold as he looked at the traffic coming and going in front of him. He directly ignored Xiaoya's words of not interfering with each other and parting on good terms. He sneered coldly, with a spirit that looked down on everything. "Oh, my hands are long. I can stretch them as long as I want. What can you do? What can Kang Ian do?" Xiaoya suddenly regretted. Why did she think that Zhuang Yichen was a good prostitute? Why did she think that he was a good person? He was a bastard. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 691. When Yi found out that her name had been removed from the list, she was at a loss. How could this be? She was supposed to be part of the competition and Jiang Zhao had promised her. How could she suddenly become a mentor and act behind the scenes? She called Jiang Zhao and felt wronged. Hubby, my name has been removed. So what if it's removed? It's not a big deal. What do you mean it's not a big deal? It's obviously a very big deal. How big of a deal? You still need to go to school. How can you have so much time? Don't you need to go to school? The college entrance exams are coming up in a few months. Are you ready? Are you still in the mood to do this? Yi suddenly felt that Jiang Zhao's tone was not right. Jiang Zhao. Did you do it on purpose? Tell me, did you do it? What do you mean by on purpose? You personally gave the order. Who has the guts to remove my name from the list? Tell me, who is it? If they find out who it is, won't you help me deal with it? Yi was not stupid. With Jiang Zhao's personality, how could he tolerate someone going against him like this? Jiang Zhao was the one who gave the order and the name list had already been confirmed. How could Jiang Zhaohui not know about the sudden change? Everything else aside, at least Jiang Zhao's name had to be removed from the list. He had to be informed. However, Jiang Zhao said calmly, if you want to withdraw, then so be it. Jiang Zhao could not stand Yi's questioning. Yes, it was me. I was the one who asked it to be removed. I felt that you should not take part in the competition. Anyway, your dance studio will benefit from it. What are you afraid of? Do you have to be famous? What's the point of being famous? It's the same as being a boss. You have good mentors. If they become famous, it's the same if your dance studio becomes famous. How can it be the same? How can it be different? Do I have to stand in the middle of the stage and receive applause and flowers to be considered successful? Slap. Jiang Zhao wanted to continue scolding, but Yi had already hung up. How dare she hang up on him? Jiang Zhao felt that this little girl was really unruly. She even dared to smash his phone because of a disagreement. She must have dug out the leopard's guts and put it on herself. Li Ran knocked on the door and entered the office to deliver the documents for the morning meeting. He took out his phone and dialed back. The photo on the screen was of the woman's side profile in the morning light. The screen kept showing the words, connecting, and then it was cut off. Good, she dared not to pick up. She was bold again. He dialed the number again. The number you have dialed is switched off. What a guy. Jiang Zhao threw his phone and slammed it on the table. Li Ran was shocked. Since when did Mayor Jiang not care about his own assets? Smashing the phone? After working in the office for so long, this was the first time he saw it. But Li Ran did not know that the reason why Jiang Zhao had smashed his phone was because of Yi. Jiang Zhao took out his phone and called Yi's office. The phone was picked up and hung up the moment he heard Jiang Zhao's voice. Good. Good. He did not believe that he could not teach her a lesson. This was not a big deal, and she still threw a tantrum with him. Why was she so uncomfortable when she could not dance with other men? Yi felt that she had seen a glimmer of hope, but now, it was all gone. Jiang Zhao was too despicable. He had used his authority to help her get benefits, and now, he used his authority to withdraw her benefits. This person was too despicable. Does he think he is so great just because he has authority? Fine. Even if he has authority, he should not play with her like this. He should not have given her hope in the first place, and now, he is blocking her way. He should not have given her any promises in the first place. Now, he is going back on his words. This is not what a man should do. She hated him. She was best at international and Latin dances. But now, he was telling her not to participate. When Jiang Zhao found Yi in her office, Yi was leaning over her desk, writing and drawing. The A4 paper was filled with drawings of turtles and the words, Jiang Zhao, you bastard, you tortoise. Jiang Zhao picked up a pen and drew a turtle on another piece of paper. He drew a few strands of grass on the turtle's head and wrote, Yun Yi, UB*TCH, you tortoise. His handwriting was clearly 100 times better than Yi Er's. Damn. He actually came over to pick a fight with her in such a domineering manner. Yi Er sat up angrily. I don't want to see you. Get out. Why should I leave? If I want to stay, I will stay. Call the police. Just say that I am harassing you. Jiang Zhao, you are unreasonable. I have plenty of reasons. The two of them started quarreling. If you don't give in to me, I won't give in to you either. You say something and I say something back. It was a competition of whose voice was louder and whose aura was stronger. Jiang Zhao's aura enveloped the entire venue. Yi Er's aura came out of her throat and covered each other's ears. You promised to let me dance. You even said that you would guarantee that I would be the champion. The champion. Although it was a little suspicious that she had gotten in through the back door, even if she wanted to be vain, there was nothing wrong with that. Yi Er did not think that this was shameful behavior. She was not the only one who did this. Yes, I did promise you. But this international pas de deux is not allowed. Why not? What's wrong with international pas de deux? Are you discriminating? Is that so? You said it was okay at the beginning. Anyway, I won't allow any other man to hug you other than me. They will hug you longer than me. No, I won't even hug you once. When Jiang Zhao thought of this, he was all kinds of unhappy. He would only hug her when he got home at night, after dinner, when he went to bed, and when he fell asleep. How long would he hug her? And this was under the condition that he did not go on a business trip. Fei Yan said that for such a long program, rehearsing and practicing every day was like an 8-hour workday. To hug her for such a long time when she was sober and entrust her safety and life to that person, he would be an idiot to let his wife do such a thing. Fei Yan was right. He should not have opened a dance studio for her. If he wanted to make money, he could have opened a casino. Why open a dance studio? There would be problems as she danced. His wife was soft and tender. She had a graceful figure. Her face was like a lotus flower. Which normal man could hug her for hours and not have problems? Jiang Zhao, be reasonable. How can you think of me as that kind of person? You are not that kind of woman, but there are many men like that. Are you talking about you? Yes, if it were me, I would be. The two of them quarreled with red faces. In the end, the outcome was already decided from the beginning. Yi Er could not win. The winner would always be the chess player who could manipulate the game. Even if she could quarrel better than Jiang Zhao and reason better than Jiang Zhao had the power. If he did not say anything, the teacher behind the scenes could be removed. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 692. Yi Er was disheartened and lowered his head. How could it be Xiaoya? Why couldn't it be done with her? How could he associate a normal dance with a man and a woman hugging? What was this man's brain made of? Xiaoya slammed the door of Zhuang Yichen's car. Zhuang Yichen started the car, and just as it entered the entrance of Duga, a white Land Rover stopped beside Xiaoya. He recognized the car. The license plate was Xiaoya's birthday. Kang Yiyun. He slammed his fist on the steering wheel. The car did not care about the traffic rules and made a left turn at the entrance of Duga. Xiaoya had just opened the door of Kang Yiyun's car when she was picked up like a little chick. When she was thrown into the back seat of Zhuang Yichen's car, she suddenly realized that it was Zhuang Yichen's doing. Kang Yiyun was about to open the door and chase after her, but Zhuang Yichen had already closed the door and sped away. The atmosphere in the car was freezing. Xiaoya could not help but shiver. Zhuang Yichen, what are you trying to do? Little demon Xiao, it seems like you still don't understand what I mean. When Zhuang Yichen spoke, his nostrils and jawline were frighteningly stiff. Even his voice was cold and emotionless. He took out his phone and dialed a number. After a few seconds, he said, "Xia Qian, a fourth-year student at the media college who is interning at Channel 2, Xiaoya rushed over and snatched his phone. Zhuang Yichen. If you dare to touch Xia Qian, I'll fight you to the death. Zhuang Yichen continued to drive and glanced at the woman leaning against his shoulder. Risking my life? You think you can beat me? My life is tougher than yours. Do you want to try? What are you trying to do? Little demon Xiao, you should know why I didn't care about you a few years ago. You've been too naughty recently. Our relationship is over. I have my own life and freedom. The man sneered. Really? When did it end? Yesterday? The tip of Xiaoya's heart seemed to grow a thread. The more she pulled it, the longer it grew. The thread was thin and soft. When she pulled it, she was afraid it would break, but if she did not pull it, she was afraid it would get knotted. She pulled and pulled until she felt a little pain. Sitting back in his seat, he felt the soft and comfortable seat cushion. Not only was the exterior of the car dazzling, but the interior was also extravagant. Lying on such a seat was like lying on money. She wouldn't buy such a car even if she had the money. It was too expensive and the cost of maintenance was too high. Even if she could afford it, she couldn't afford to keep it. Everything needed to be managed. If you couldn't afford it but insisted on buying it as a shop front, you would be the one suffering. Xiaoya had always been a woman with a strong sense of anxiety. From the first day she was with Zhuang Yichen, she thought that she might be abandoned at any time, so she wanted her own house and career. That was why she bought a car that cost more than 200,000 yuan, in case she was abandoned by this man one day and could not afford a good car. She always had a way to comfort herself when she met with a setback. Just like this time, if it were someone else who had no one to help and no one to care, they would have hanged themselves long ago. But she didn't. She thought that at worst, she could just find another man to help her. Anyway, that was how she started her business. But when she put out the marriage advertisement and someone was willing to help her pay off her debt, she pretended to be noble and shy. That advertisement was a little selfish. Zhuang Yichen did not care about her and left her to fend for herself. Fine, then she would show him how she was born and how she was destroyed. It was not shameful to rely on a man. Qiu Xiaoya had relied on sleeping with men to get to where she was today. When he finally came to Qingfeng Garden, she was actually happy. There were some things that she couldn't understand. She just felt disappointed when she thought of him after they broke up. It was as if there was something imperfect. The cherry blossoms that had only bloomed for a day had withered because of the storm. It was really ugly. Just like how she looked after they broke up. It was really ugly. She was the one who wanted to break up, but he agreed without a frown. He generously gave her the house without even batting an eyelid. At that time, she felt like she had been abandoned. She already knew that she would be abandoned, but when it came, she was still at a loss. She didn't want to know how much of her mother's words were true and how much was false. But what was his attitude now? He didn't allow her to get married, but wanted her to continue sleeping with him. She didn't know how much she had to move this man. It didn't seem possible. She had lost her brilliance, but she couldn't afford to waste her youth anymore. Especially when she saw Jiang Zhao by Yi Er's side, she felt like she was terminally ill. She always told Yi Er that a woman should have her own career, so that she wouldn't be left with nothing when her man abandoned her. But it was so funny. Even if Yi Er was abandoned by her man in the future, she could still legally get a sum of alimony or get a share of Jiang Zhao's assets after they got divorced. But what about herself now? She would really be left with nothing after being abandoned by her man. When Yi Er was sick and hospitalized, Jiang Zhao took care of her every day. He was so busy with work, but he rushed to the hospital after work. When Yi Er's father was hospitalized, Jiang Zhao and Yi Er would visit him every day. If Yi Er wanted to eat something, Jiang Zhao would accompany her. Yi Er didn't wear luxury goods. She told her that because of Jiang Zhao's work, she couldn't be too extravagant or people would point fingers at her. Yi Er didn't wear sexy or seductive clothes. She told her that because Jiang Zhao didn't like her to wear revealing clothes. She also told her that she had to dress more maturely so that she would be more compatible with Jiang Zhao. Yi Er dared to act coquettishly to Jiang Zhao in front of a table of friends and said, "I want to eat that, but I can't get it." Jiang Zhao would satisfy her immediately. When Yi Er called to say that she wasn't feeling well, the first person to rush over would definitely be Jiang Zhao. The two of them could stand hand in hand under the sun. That was the kind of happiness that marriage could bring. To get this, Yi Er used some means to force Jiang Zhao to give in, but she still benefited from it. Xiaoya felt that she was jealous. An uncontrollable jealousy took root in her heart and sprouted, growing lush branches and leaves. They were both women with men, but this difference was too painful. Xiaoya was still looking out the window. Her eyes were faintly moist. "Actually, we always knew that our relationship was built when you were valuable to me. When my career collapsed, you weren't willing to help me. If that's the case, then our exchange isn't equal. But all these years, my achievements were all because of you. All this time, you slept with me for nothing. Just treat it as the interest I paid. What are you still not satisfied with? Why do you have to make it so ugly and use my sister to threaten me?" Xiaoya could only hear the man's breathing in the car. She sighed softly. "I can't be with you forever. I still have parents. I have to think about them. You always knew that my mother wanted me to get married. Even without Kang Yiyun, they would still introduce Lu Yiyun, Zhang Yiyun, Wang Yiyun to me in the future. Yichen, sooner or later, I will get married, have children, and have my own family. A happy family that my parents hoped for the first time." Xiaoya called Zhuang Yichen by his name. "Yin Yi, I agree that you want to be successful. But dancing is out of the question. Or I can open another company for you. I can allocate a lot of business for you. If you want to make money, make your own money. That's a very simple thing. But to be famous for dancing, that's out of the question." Yi Er sat in her seat and looked up at the man who was looking down at her from above. His firm tone, as well as the domineering and strong aura that he exuded, enveloped her like a net. It tightened around her until her voice and confidence became smaller and smaller. "Jiang Zhao, I want to do what I like to do, what I'm interested in." Jiang Zhao bent down and rested his elbows on Yi Er's desk. He held Yi Er's face in his hands and stared at her. "It's a blessing to be able to turn your interest into your career. But if you can't have it both ways, why can't you treat your interest as a hobby? Still what I said before, do you have to use applause and flowers to get the affirmation of others for what you like? Then do you yearn for flowers and applause, or do you yearn for your interest?" "Jiang Zhao, you're talking nonsense." However, Jiang Zhao was very serious. True interests and hobbies don't need the affirmation of others. "Yin Yi, everything is the same. Let me give you a simple example. When we got married, not many people gave us their sincere blessings. Our family backgrounds didn't match, our ages didn't match. Such voices could be heard everywhere. But we're willing to be together. Even without the approval of others, we're still living very well. Groups of people are jumping out to ask for a divorce. They don't approve of us and doubt us. But we're still together. You're my interest, and I'm your interest. Isn't it fine as long as both of us approve of each other? Why do you have to show off what you think is good to everyone? But if you show it to others, will you be happier than you are now?" Yi Er was stunned. Jiang Zhao continued, "If we show it to others, the people who applaud you will say, 'Wow, they're so happy. That's great. I'm so envious.' But what about the people who gave you the eggs? They will say that the woman is so young, and the man is so old. The man's family background is so good, and the woman's family background is so terrible. They will also say that the woman is insensible, and the man has no taste. In the end, the happy thing will be dug deeper and deeper by others. Your past, my past, things that we clearly don't care about, will become more and more unbearable by those eggs. Small things will become bigger and bigger by others. Do you dare say that with your tolerance, you'll be able to do it without being disturbed? Yi Er couldn't help but admit that she admired Jiang Zhao. When she wasn't with him, even if she ran into obstacles everywhere, she was still the one making the decisions. She could be considered a person with her own opinions. But ever since she got together with him, all the decisions no longer seemed to have anything to do with her. But in the end, she was always willing to compromise. Someone once said that a person can't succeed for no reason. Jiang Zhao was the same, right? He had the ability to grab hold of the weakness that others cared about the most and hit it with one blow, causing the opponent to be utterly defeated. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 693. I want. Yi Er wanted to be famous. Perhaps at her age, such vain thoughts could be found everywhere. Her heart was in turmoil. Jiang Zhao still held Yi Er's face and said slyly, Think, what do you want to eat? I'll accompany you for lunch, okay? He knew that dancing was not feasible and would make Yi Er very unhappy, but he had no choice but to try his best to make up for it. I want to eat ice cream to vent my anger. Okay, let's have an ice cream feast for lunch. Okay. Yi Er agreed hesitantly. Yi Er thought that Jiang Zhao was capable enough. Jiang Zhao thought that Yi Er was magnanimous enough. Just like that, the two of them went for lunch as if nothing had happened. Yi Er did not choose to have an ice cream banquet. Humans were made of iron and rice was made of steel. No matter what, she had to eat her fill to have the strength to work. She ordered 3 dishes, 1 soup, and 2 ice creams. Yi Er had lived a hard life for 2 years, so she was very meticulous when it came to ordering food. She knew how to pair the 3 dishes of meat and vegetable soup, what kind of dishes would be served, and how many people would eat. Jiang Zhao looked at her serious expression and felt that his wife was really good at managing the household. Although he did not need her to save money, he just felt that she was cute. When they were eating, Yi Er received a call from Jolie. She was a little hesitant. Jiang Zhao asked, Who is it? Jolie, Yi Er frowned. It turned out that the most troublesome thing was not one's career, but one's family. No wonder people said that marriage and family were a woman's life career. It was indeed so. Her family was a mess. Fortunately, she was not famous yet. If she became famous in the future and people found out about it, it would be embarrassing for Jiang Zhao. Forget it. So be it behind the scenes. She did not want to stir up trouble. Answer it. Jiang Zhao gestured with his chin. As soon as Yi Er picked up the phone, Jolie sighed over the phone before she could say anything. Her main thought was that she had spent all her money. Yi Er hung up the phone and started to eat her food. Jiang Zhao sat opposite her and asked, What's wrong? Little fox? It's fine. Let's eat. Did something happen to her again? Don't care about her. Let's eat. Yi Er stood up and took the bowl in front of Jiang Zhao. He filled it with soup and set it aside to dry. He sat down again. Yun Yi. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er sulking. He had probably vented his anger countless times already. If he kept holding it in like this, he would suffer internal injuries. Actually, it's impossible to ignore it. Yi Er looked up. She's always saying that she doesn't have money. How can she take care of everything? Jiang Zhao said, She's your mother. This can't be changed. No matter what she does that makes your hair stand on end, you should still take care of her. Actually, you don't have to be so calculative if she spends a little more money every month. Are you afraid that your husband can't afford to support her? Jiang Zhao, you can't say that. You don't know how much she has gone overboard. I just gave her money. It's only been a few days. And before I went to G City, I was worried that she wouldn't be able to take care of herself, so I went to the supermarket in the afternoon to buy her a lot of things. Food, drinks, necessities, everything that she needs, I've already bought them all. I even bought her sanitary pads. She spent more than 3 million on clothes and cosmetics that night. What else does she need to spend? Thinking about this, Yi Er couldn't get angry. Fortunately, this mother found a big backer, Hu Jincheng, 2 years ago. Otherwise, if he followed her, he would definitely have used up all the money he had to sell the house to protect himself. When that time came, he would have no money to eat and he would probably be so poor that he would have to sell his younger brother. Yin Yi, you care that she spends too much money. But if you're rich, will you give her money? But I don't have money. Jiang Zhao couldn't help but laugh. Then don't I have money? Yi waved her hand and said impatiently, even if you have money, you can't let her squander it like that. Forget it, stop talking about it. Whenever you talk about it, I'm reminded of how she looked like when she spent more than 3 million yuan a night. Whenever I think of her, my liver hurts. Really, it's not that I've forgotten my mother after marrying my husband, but there's a limit to everything. Anyway, I can't take it anymore. I really don't know how my father and Hu Jincheng can stand her. My liver hurts. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er's angry expression and raised his hand to calm him down. Okay. I won't talk about it. But if she doesn't have money, you should at least ensure that she has basic living expenses, don't you think? Isn't 3,000 yuan a month enough? We're living a good life in the 9th mansion, right? Dad, see Jia, you, me, when we're living together, I don't even spend 3,000 yuan a month on groceries. She's living alone. I'm the one who pays for the utilities. Jiang Zhao hated Zhou Li, but it was fine as long as they moved out and didn't live together. If he didn't care, it wouldn't be right. The Jiang and Qin families taught filial piety as the most important thing. Although he couldn't stand Zhou Li anymore and couldn't be filial emotionally, Yi Er had the responsibility and obligation to support her morally and legally. Yin Yi, what do you think about this matter? How about we arrange it this way? 3,000 yuan isn't enough for her to spend, and you're unwilling to give her more. Why don't we each take a step back? You give her 5,000 yuan a month and let our auntie introduce a colleague to her. The colleague will cook for her 3 meals a day and tidy up the place. The auntie will buy the groceries. This way, at least we don't have to worry about her going hungry. What do you think? Yi Er's eyes lit up, and her mood suddenly brightened. She grabbed the big glass of ice cream and lowered her head to eat it. It was cold and sweet, but not too greasy. It was really comfortable. Hubby, why are you so smart? Why didn't I think of it? Then in the future, give her 3,000 yuan a month and hire a cook. Jiang Zhao thought he heard wrongly. Didn't you say 5,000 yuan? Then we'll have to add another 2,000 yuan to hire a cook. 3,000 yuan is enough. In the past, I spent less than 2,000 yuan a month taking care of Si Jia, and I even raised him so well. Now, we're the ones buying her daily necessities and skincare products. How much money can she spend? Jiang Zhao's heart suddenly ached. He stretched out his long arm and wanted to reach out to rub her head, but he was afraid of touching her bitter past. He wiped the corner of her mouth with his thumb. Eat less ice cream in this season. Look at how greedy you are. You make the decision. You have to spend more time mediating the matters at home. If the family is peaceful, everything will prosper. Do you understand? Yi Er nodded and pouted. She felt a little guilty. Jiang Zhao, I shouldn't be thinking about becoming famous at all. There are a lot of things at home that haven't been settled yet. It's great that you can think like this. After Yi Er finished eating, she quickly contacted the housekeeper at home and quickly found a cook for Zhou Li. She went to Zhou Li's house again and gave her 3,000 yuan. Mom, I've hired a cook for you this time. You don't have to buy the groceries. The cook will be done. I'll get her to cook according to the standards at 9th mansion. Yi Er, 3,000 yuan isn't enough. I wanted to book a monthly membership card for the beauty salon yesterday. I even chose the cheapest package, which cost 5,099 yuan. Mom, we can't afford that kind of beauty salon. Can't you find a salon that only deals with faces? But how can we not go to a spa? Yi felt like the tendons in her brain were dancing on a bamboo pole. They were tapping so hard that her head hurt. Don't we have a bathtub at home? Can't we buy some flower petals and pour some milk into it? Yi, how can you treat mom like this? Isn't this good enough? Then what did you do to me in the past? Don't you know that everything is hereditary? If I were your biological child, shouldn't I learn from you back then? Mom! Yi shouted weakly and said, it was Jiang Zhao who didn't allow me to do that. If it weren't for the fact that Jiang Zhao looks down on unfilial people, She took a deep breath and said, I really don't want to care about you anymore. I want you to be like me in the past and fend for yourself. I will send you 3,000 yuan on this day next month. Don't call me during normal times. I won't pick up. Then what if mom gets sick? Zhou Li looked at Yi-er's face, which was as cold as a stranger's. She was about to cry. Then I'll discuss it with Jiang Zhao in the afternoon. We'll reserve a VIP number for you at the private hospital. When you get there, just put it on our tab. What do you think? No matter how cold and hard Yi-er was, her eyes still turned red after she entered the elevator. If she wasn't afraid of feeding Zhou Li's appetite, there were some things she couldn't say. Shen Kai called Jiang Zhao and told him he would be waiting for him in his office. When Jiang Zhao returned to his office, he saw Shen Kai sitting on the sofa and bickering with Li Ran like a gentleman. It seemed that Shen Kai had suffered too much recently. If he didn't find someone to vent his frustrations on, he would die of boredom. Li Ran was also pitiful. She didn't know how to be tactful and straightforward. She was so angry that she jumped up after hearing a few words from Shen Kai. When Li Ran saw that Jiang Zhao had returned, she left the room. As soon as Li Ran left, Shen Kai immediately showed his hooligan side. He crossed his legs and leaned against the sofa with a roguish look on his face. This secretary of yours doesn't know how to deal with people. This won't do. When Jiang Zhao saw the change in Shen Kai, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I think it's okay. A straightforward person doesn't need to worry. Shen Kai took out a wrapped file from his briefcase. I brought some originals for you to see. You can write down the important ones, but I can't give you copies and originals. Jiang Zhao rubbed his face and smiled. Kai, I realize that you've been in a mess recently, but your mind is still very clear. Shen Kai stood up and walked to Jiang Zhao's desk. He took out the file and a pen from Jiang Zhao's pen holder and placed it on the table. He raised his eyebrows and smiled. Of course, if I give you copies or originals, you'll know that they're from my place. I won't give you the chance to frame me. Jiang Zhao sat back in his seat and took out his pen from the drawer on his left. He twisted the pen cap and skimmed through the file. The Inspection Institute was really a good place. There were all kinds of secrets. Ouyang Sheng had put in a lot of effort in the past few years. He laughed softly. Shen Kai, you're really smart. You're actually guarding against me. Hurry up and give me a copy. Of course, to be on the same side as a wolf, one must wear armor. Haha. You're the wolf. Jiang Zhao also laughed. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 694. Shen Kai looked at Jiang Zhao taking notes. Fine, fine, fine. A wolf is a wolf. How can there be a wolf like me who will repay the kindness of a drop of water? Jiang Zhao looked at Shen Kai with disdain as he recorded the important data. Don't flatter yourself. Can you keep it up? Shen Kai had a smug look on his face. I have to keep it up even if I can't keep it up. Flattering looks good. Ouyang Yan had never thought that Shen Kai would make her a mere figurehead. When she returned to work, she realized that there was nothing for her to do. All the cases that she was in charge of had been assigned to her colleagues. It was obvious that she was not part of the team now that she had to keep her mouth shut about the case. What was the meaning of this? She looked for Shen Kai, but Shinkai looked very busy. He did not care about her, but he arranged for her to work very seriously. However, the work she did was all trivial. Ouyang Yen was angry when she thought of Shinkai. The reason she did not like Shinkai was very simple. He was like a hooligan. He looked like a hooligan since he was young. Even in law school, he was still a hooligan. He couldn't be compared to Jiang Zhao at all. Jiang Zhao always had a calm and experienced appearance wherever he went. Many people listened to Jiang Zhao's words, unlike Shinkai, who always caused trouble and annoyed people just by looking at him. But when Shinkai suddenly treated her with a very serious attitude, she could not get used to it. He was so cold, as if they did not know each other. As for Shinkai, Ouyang Yen was a dream of his youth. At that time, Ouyang Yen was like a princess in his dreams. He always felt that Ouyang Yen was sparkling, there was something very shiny about her. If it was not for Ouyang Yan's tricks on Jiang Zhao, he might not have woken up from that dream. At least, he felt that dreaming was a good thing. When he woke up and thought about it, it was a nightmare. Could it be that the princess was a witch and the dream was not a nightmare? What dream could be more shocking than this dream? A woman who was weak in his impressions suddenly held a big knife and slashed at everyone, including the old, the weak, the women, and the children. He really couldn't accept such a change. No wonder Jiang Zhao refused to look back. Could it be that Jiang Zhao had already woken up from that dream? In the end, he woke up early because of his deep understanding of the situation. Shinkai, what are you trying to do? You actually made me so empty. Facing the Ouyang Yan's finger, Shinkai replied lazily, Inspector O. Yes, I'm not making you a mere figurehead. I'm just assigning you the most suitable position for what you're doing. I used to be in charge of cases, but now you want me to be a clerk. I'm telling you, I won't do it. Ouyang Yen couldn't accept it. She had a double master's degree, and he wanted her to do a clerical job and be in charge of all kinds of documents. Did Shinkai's brain get hit by a door? Shinkai put down the pen in his hand and looked up at the beauty leaning on his desk. He raised his eyebrows, and his eyes curved into a mischievous smile. However, in the blink of an eye, he suddenly became serious and said to the Ouyang Yen, the party teaches us to bow our heads and be willing to be children and cattle. The country needs to be built, and we are the party. As a member, we are the tiles of the nation, the bricks of society. We will move wherever we are needed. There are many kinds of jobs in society. We can't be picky. We can't be light and afraid of heavy work. Any work is of profound significance to the progress of society, and as the party as a member, we should first set an example and take the lead. Comrade Ouyang, the administrative department needs you now. You can't shirk your responsibilities. This is irresponsible to the people and society. If you want to do this, you are not a qualified party member. Ouyang Yen was so angry that her face was red. Shinkai stood up with a serious expression. He even looked at the Ouyang Yen with a stern gaze and asked, "What's wrong with the administrative department? Without the administrative department, where would we get the documents we need to try the case? Without those documents, how would we be able to try the case perfectly? The brick of the administrative department is a big brick, or even a big stone. It is the foundation of the entire inspection institute. Comrade Ouyang, you can't ignore such an important position. As a member, you have a discriminatory attitude towards the job. I suggest you reflect on it." Shinkai was like this. He raised his eyebrows and smiled mischievously. 3 seconds later, he became serious, and a second later, he spoke earnestly. After a sentence, he was serious, and stern. What was even more shocking was that after he finished speaking, he coughed awkwardly and touched his nose mischievously. As an Ouyang Yen who often played together since they were young and studied in the same university, Shinkai was like riding a roller coaster. It was unacceptable. Especially the way he spoke. If he made his voice sound older, covered his face, and played the silent news in front of you, you would think that there was a meeting of the people. This bastard. Ouyang Yen scolded Shinkai in her heart. Shinkai actually wanted to cover his face, because when he saw Ouyang Yan's pale face, he almost laughed out loud. But as a party member, how could a member be so unserious? So he held it in. Ouyang Yen bit her lip. Shinkai, I have a double master's degree, and you want me to be a brick in the administrative department. What about you? Why don't you go? You're here as a brick at the top of the pyramid. It's so beautiful. Shinkai's expression became serious. Wrong, Comrade Ouyang. You can't use the pyramid, which obviously has a feudal class element, to insult my pure party member. Sex. Ouyang Yen spat at Shinkai in her heart. Pure party member. Sex. Bah. Don't say party member. Sex, even the word pure, had nothing to do with Shinkai. Humph, if you're a brick, then you're a piece of ceramic tile that's pasted on the building of the inspection department. Shinkai lazily sat back in his seat. He had a ruffian smile on his face and a light in his eyes. 3 seconds later, he stopped smiling and pretended to be serious. Even if I'm the ceramic tile pasted on the outside of the inspection department, do you think it's a face-saving project? No, you don't know the value of the ceramic tile. You only see the surface. Have you really seriously considered the value of the ceramic tile pasted on the walls of the inspection department building? Winter and summer, wind and sun and rain, which one of them isn't covered by ceramic tile? If it weren't for the ceramic tile that sheltered the bricks of the building day and night, this building would have been old. Have you ever been grateful for the spirit of the ceramic tile's selfless dedication? Ouyang Yen was so angry that she wanted to smash the table. Shinkai, you're going too far. You're just relying on the fact that I can't outtalk you, right? Shinkai said very humbly, no, how can you not outtalk me? You have a double master's degree, and you're still taking the PhD exam. I'm not as knowledgeable as you. This isn't a question of whether I can outtalk you or not. It's because I'm reasonable. As the ancients say, if you're reasonable, you can walk all over the world. If you're unreasonable, you can't do anything. Ouyang Yen gritted her teeth and scolded, bastard. It was obvious that he was unreasonable, and now he was saying that she was unreasonable. Shinkai sighed. You don't know how to respect your superiors. Remember to organize the meeting materials for tomorrow's meeting. You can leave now. After Ouyang Yen left, Shinkai closed the door and called Jiang Zhao. If you want to do it, you better hurry up. Ouyang Yen is still in the inspection department. Even if I made her a figurehead and she can't touch the case, she still has acquaintances. If she gets wind of this, you won't have a chance after the family Ouyang is settled. Jiang Zhao replied. I know. I know what I'm doing. I will not stop what I'm supposed to do. That's good. Hello, I heard that Mrs. Jiang is going to take part in a national dance competition on TV too. If such a beautiful Mrs. Mayor were to take part in such a competition, she would attract a lot of attention, right? I don't know who the male partner is. If she doesn't find a handsome partner, it won't be harmonious. If it's a handsome man and a beautiful woman, I think everyone in Haicheng will be watching that program from 1 to 8:40 p.m. What will happen then? Shinkai chuckled softly after he finished speaking. Jiang Zhao paused for 2 seconds. Once again, he felt that what Fei Yen said was right. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The news spread quickly. Even Shinkai knew about it. But Shinkai did not know that he had removed Yi Er's name from the list. Fortunately, he removed Yi Er's name quickly. Otherwise, Yi Er would have become the talk of the town. Jiang Zhao knew that Shinkai had used such a tone to remind him to be mindful of the consequences. How could he not understand such an obvious meaning? No, it's just that her dance studio will provide some teachers and partners. She will be behind the scenes. Then I won't be able to see it. But I still hope that sister-in-law's dance studio will be a hit. Please pass on my blessings. Thank you. I will definitely pass on my blessings to her. Jiang Zhao hung up the phone and looked down at the documents in his hands. His brows furrowed. The family Ouyang and Yun Hongwei's case was so complicated. It was really annoying. He had to think of a way to avoid any leads on Yun Hongwei. If that was the case, he could not let the family Ouyang know that he was the one who did it. Otherwise, the Ouyang Yen would easily implicate Yun Hongwei. Holding the phone, his thumb touched the screen hard. He called Zhuang Yichen. "Are you free?" "I'm not free." Zhuang Yichen's voice was very loud. Very loud. Very fierce. Very angry. Jiang Zhao was stunned. If Zhuang Yichen could be so angry, it meant that there were no outsiders around him. He did not know who had provoked him. To be able to provoke Zhuang Yichen to this extent, the person must be very brave. As he thought about it, he laughed. "God, what's wrong? Are you having menstrual cramps? Do you want me to get my secretary to buy you some menstrual cramps?" Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 695. When Zhuang Yichen heard Jiang Zhao's words, he wasn't in the mood to continue the conversation. "I'm not free. I'll contact you later." After hanging up, Jiang Zhao didn't call him again. He knew that Zhuang Yichen must have encountered a difficult problem. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so angry. He shrugged and threw the phone on the table. So be it. Zhuang Yichen didn't know why Jiang Zhao was looking for him. If it was in the past, they would have gone straight to the point after exchanging a few words. After all, Jiang Zhao didn't have the habit of calling him for no reason. However, he wasn't in the mood today. He hadn't even gone to the office yet. Looking at the woman sitting on the sofa, Zhuang Yichen was in a daze. He hadn't brought anyone to the 9th mansion. It should be said that where he lived, whether it was the suburbs or here, he didn't like to bring women home. Therefore, he had always been the one to visit her. He'd brought her here today because her parents were in Qingfeng Garden. They couldn't talk outside, so they couldn't continue the conversation. So, he brought her back. Recently, she had messed up his rhythm and principles a few times. This wasn't a good sign. Logically speaking, he should have been more magnanimous and let her go when she told him about her situation with tears streaming down her face. Just like last time, when she mentioned breaking up and said that she missed Kang Yun, the man she loved, he remembered what she said at the time, but he didn't really listen. She probably said that she didn't want the house anymore. He said that he was the one who gave the house away. How could he take it back? A villa and a duplex were transferred to her name in the shortest time possible. In fact, he had always been a person who haggled over the smallest details. Even when he was with a brother like Jiang Zhao, unless the other party urgently needed his help, they would always exchange benefits of equal value. Only then would he help, and Jiang Zhao was the same. When he was with her, he had already calculated and felt that it was a good deal. That was why he continued with the relationship. Now that she thought about it, when he gave her the house when they broke up, he was also calculating. Logically speaking, she was the one who initiated the breakup, so he did not have to give her the house. But he was so generous and gave it all to her. Was he really such a kind person? No. He, Zhuang Yichen, had never been such a kind person. After the first business deal, he was thinking about the second one. He was investing. The purpose of investing in the house was to get a return on investment. What he wanted in return was for this woman to think of him when she lived in the house he gave her, and not to run into another man's arms as soon as she turned around. He had always known that she was a cold person, but he still made this investment. This was the risk investment that often existed in their circle. It was too risky to invest capital in such a woman. If they were not careful, they would lose everything. He had taken a liking to this business and decided to invest in it because they had a foundation of nearly 4 years. During these 4 years, she had been very obedient. Every time he found out about her methods of rejecting those suitors, he could not help but clap his hands and applaud. After they broke up, she did not think about the past. She only wanted to throw herself at Kang Yun. She could not understand why. After being separated for so many years, what feelings could they have for each other? Tell me, what do you want so that you won't cause trouble? Ever since he brought Xiaoya home, Zhuang Yichen's tone became much gentler. Do I look like I'm causing trouble? Why don't I wait until I get married and then have an affair with you behind my husband's back? What do you think of this plan? But I have to be clear. When I sleep with you, you have to wear a condom. Otherwise, when the child is born, we won't know who the father is. Also, when I get pregnant, I won't be able to sleep with you for a long time. You can't blame me. During the pregnancy, you have to be careful. Don't do strenuous exercise. If Xiaoya said this in her usual arrogant manner, one would know that it was pure nonsense. But at this time, she was sitting on the sofa with her head lowered, twisting her fingers. Her voice was slow and monotonous, and she looked very tired. The more she was like this, the more serious she looked. Zhuang Yichen was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He originally pressed Xiaoya down on the sofa and pulled a chair to sit opposite her. He just looked at her like this. At this time, he suddenly stood up. When he straightened his leg, he pushed the chair back. When he lifted his leg, he lost his balance and almost tripped himself. At this time, all the fire was directed at the innocent chair, and the clean living room became a mess. Xiaoya looked up blankly. In recent years, she had never looked at Zhuang Yichen with such an expression. Zhuang Yichen had also never seen Xiaoya like this. Stop kicking. Xiaoya took a breath. You shouldn't be asking me what I want. Actually, I should be the one asking you. What do you want? Zhuang Yichen put his hands on his waist and walked 2 rounds in annoyance. He pulled off his tie and threw it on the chair. Then, he took off his expensive suit and threw it casually on the floor like a rag. He bent over to pick up the cup on the coffee table and took a big gulp of water. Finally, he said, "You're not allowed to get married. You're not allowed to have intimate contact with other men. That's all I want." The woman's sigh was light and long. It sounded weak. Zhuang Yichen. Yichen. Zhuang Yichen's back stiffened for a moment. In the car, because she had called out to him like this, he hadn't come back to his senses for a long time. She was doing it again. Don't try to fool me with your tricks. Don't make it sound like you're weak. Put away your tricks. Xiaoya acted as if she hadn't heard him. Yichen, can you be fair? I've been with you for 4 years. How many more years do you think I have? I'm 25 years old now. You can't forbid me from finding my future just because you think that I'm still fresh and you haven't had enough of me. What will happen to me in the future? I've been with you for 4 years. Can you really bear to see me grow old and never be able to get married? Then I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. If you're worried, I'll give you some of the company's shares. As long as the company doesn't get into trouble, I guarantee that you'll be able to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Or, I can buy you a high-value insurance policy. Even if my company collapses in the future, you won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. Is that okay? Zhuang Yichen said it naturally. He felt that this was the best solution. Didn't a woman marry to find someone to rely on? He had already paved the way for her. Now, she wouldn't think about it anymore, right? Also, I'll settle your debt for you tomorrow. Now that he thought about it, he really should have listened to Jiang Zhao. It was all because of the closing of the shop. He wanted her to reflect on the evils of society, but she wanted to take a shortcut and get married. Xiaoya looked at Zhuang Yichen in surprise. She bit her lips. You want me to be your underground prostitute for the rest of my life? Zhuang Yichen was annoyed to answer this question. They were fine like this now. Why do you have to say that it's an underground prostitute? Then what is it? Xiaoya stood up. Her body swayed slightly, but she used all her strength to stand firm. Her eyes were sore, her breathing was erratic, and her voice was very nasal. Tell me, if it's not an underground prostitute, what is it? No one eats with me, sleeps with me, watches movies with me, picks food for me, and there's no one to talk to. In the middle of the night, when I have a fever, I get out of bed to pour myself some water, but I fall on the ground and sleep until the next morning. Now, I don't even dare to get sick, Zhuang Yichen. Do you think I'm a superwoman? Do you want to shoulder everything by yourself? Ah. Boo, Xiaoya had never cried in front of Zhuang Yichen like today. Over and over again, from the first time she cried silently, to this time she cried out loud, her body was embraced. In front of her was a firm chest, and her back was a gentle touch. Her head was slowly rubbed by the man's big hand. The voice above her head was slightly hoarse, but every word was as sharp as a knife. Xiaoyao, let's do this for now. This is the only thing we can do now. Explain to your parents and tell them to stay away from Kang Yian. Xiaoyao, although I can't guarantee that I will accompany you every day, I can guarantee that if you dare to get involved with Kang Yian, you will only hurt him. I don't want you to hate me. I don't care how deep your relationship was in the past, but if he touches my woman, I will let him die. Even his corpse will not be found. Xiaoya suddenly quivered. Lips. Kisses. Her clothes were slowly stripped off. She was carried by the waist, and the man on top of her pressed down. It was the first time she slept in Zhuang Yichen's bed. For Xiaoya, it was a different experience. It was as if this was a different world. Only here did she feel like she was not a virgin. After a while, she finally got out of bed and put on her clothes. I'm going back to Qingfeng Garden to sleep. Okay. I'll send you there. In the future, I'll get someone to send you food every day. Okay. The obvious sense of distance made Zhuang Yichen frown slightly, but then he relaxed. He was still wearing his shirt. I'll get Uncle Li to contact you. Tell him what dishes you like to eat. Okay. Xiaoya just agreed. After sending Xiaoya off, Zhuang Yichen came out of Qingfeng Garden. He dialed Jiang Zhao's cell phone. Brother Zhao, what's up this afternoon? You've settled things? Yes. Yichen, I have something to discuss with you. Go ahead. Yun Hongwei had borrowed a sum of money from Ouyang Yu in the past, and when he got this sum of money, he naturally went through the unspoken rules. If I want to disassociate this sum of money from bribery, what should I do? Jiang Zhao's words were probing. He knew how to graft, but someone had to be willing to take the fall. Zhuang Yichen parked the car by the side of the road and thought about Jiang Zhao's words. Brother Zhao, I think it might be because Yun Hongwei is your father-in-law that you're so cautious and can't use your fists and feet. Actually, we all know that it's impossible to expose his case. If the mastermind behind it is exposed, we can't afford to offend him. But if we want to destroy Ouyang Sheng, now is the best time. Yun Hongwei has been in a deep coma. Even if we expose all the small things, he'll still be safe. Also, I suggest that we cut down all the thorns on the road while he's in a deep coma. We can't even give them a chance to breathe. I can cooperate with you. Zhuang Yichen's words were ruthless and decisive. They suddenly cleared up Jiang Zhao's mind. Sure enough, he was too restrained to think things through. Come and see, Hongcha 866. Chapter 696. How confident are you? Jiang Zhao's meaning was very clear. There were more than one or two thorns on this road. He could be fast. Zhuang Yichen also said that he would cooperate with him, but how much cooperation? He needed to know how much cooperation he would have. Chen Tong can't stay. If this goes on, I will be more and more confused with him. This is very dangerous for everyone. Zhuang Yichen was actually a little annoyed. Jiang Zhao had been dragging down their cooperation because of Yun Hongwei, which made him very uncomfortable. But even so, it was not convenient for him to intervene in family matters. How about this? Let's talk outside. Let's go to the tea house. I will wait for you there. Okay. In the tea house, the sound of the guzheng and pipa was like smoke, lingering in the air and not dispersing. In the small private room, Zhuang Yichen and Jiang Zhao were washing the tea set and boiling tea. Brother Zhao, I don't think it's impossible. What's the way to bypass this? Jiang Zhao's voice was as serious as his expression. I don't think it's too much. Jiang Zhao sighed almost inaudibly. Yin Yi really hopes that Yun Hongwei will wake up soon. If the treatment is delayed, it won't work. Zhuang Yichen always liked to do things quickly and ruthlessly. If he had to lay low, it was because he had no other choice. Therefore, before a man's great career was accomplished, he must not have any encumbrances. Jiang Zhao was a good example. He could have cleared the road long ago, but because of Yun Yi, a woman, he had made it so that it was neither up nor down. If they hadn't known each other for so many years, he would have told him the source of his dissatisfaction. Why not? When Yun Hongwei wakes up, can you let go of your fists and feet to deal with your enemies? What he did later will tie you down bit by bit. Now, you just ask the hospital to stop the treatment for him for a period of time. It's not that you won't do it in the future. Won't it be easier to deal with his affairs after you cut off all the wings that should be clipped? You can't be like this for the rest of your life because of him, right? A deep coma for 3 months and a deep coma for 3 years is just a difference in time. But to you, it's a guarantee of your future. Zhuang Yichen felt that this matter was urgent. He had to help Jiang Zhao get rid of the thorns around him first. Then, Zhuang Yichen could help him deal with the Zhuang family. He could not keep Jiang Zhao was a threat. Zhuang Yichen's such a rebellious suggestion. Once they did, Yun Hongwei would definitely be implicated. Now that Yun Hongwei was in a deep coma, even if he was implicated, what could he do? If he had a few more years to get to his position, he would be able to get rid of his enemies. Everyone's political background would be deep. Another 20 years. 10 years. 5 years. 3 years. 2 years. They could even be suspended for a year or two. At this juncture, it was indeed the best time to strike at his opponent. It would be best if Yun Hongwei did not wake up during this process. The Jiang and Qin families placed filial piety at the top of their education. But Jiang Zhao had a wolfish nature in his bones. He was ruthless. It was a miracle that he could treat Yi Er like this. At least, people who were not related to him by blood would not be able to receive his wholehearted devotion. He knew this. But Yun Hongwei was not Yi Er. The ruthless wolfish nature in him had taken over his morality toward Yun Hongwei. Can you guarantee that the hospital will stop the treatment so that he will not wake up? Until we're done. Mission? There's nothing that can't be done. There may be many ways to wake up a person who is in a deep coma. But if you don't want a person to wake up, there are many ways to do it. If you don't want Yun Hongwei to wake up, I have a way. Jiang Zhao muttered to himself for a moment and frowned. Then we'll do as you say. I'll send Shen Tong's photo to the news agency tomorrow. But the media might not dare to publish such sexy photos of political figures. Go and tell the news agency to release it. Okay. After Jiang Zhao made up his mind, he suddenly thought about it. It was best if he could rush forward quickly. Fighting a protracted battle would consume too much energy. Meanwhile, outside the private room, a woman with a long pale pink scar on her face widened her eyes in shock when she overheard the conversation in the room. Yi Er had just returned home from the hospital. It was already 10:30 p.m. when she realized that Jiang Zhao was not back yet. She gave him a call. Jiang Zhao replied that he had already arrived downstairs. Yi Er washed some red grapes and soaked them in cold water again. She washed them clean and placed them on the coffee table in front of the sofa. She took off her slippers. Under the coffee table was a large, fluffy carpet. It was very comfortable to step on with her bare feet. She knelt on the ground, picked up a small pair of scissors, and cut off the red grapes one by one. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Yi Er quickly stood up. She pulled a piece of tissue paper to dry her hands and threw the tissue paper into the small trash can. She quickly put on her slippers and ran to the door. She took Jiang Zhao's slippers and placed them on the ground. Just as the man changed his shoes, the woman pounced on him and hung on him like a koala bear. Her face was about to burst with laughter. She called out, "Hubby, hubby," in an exceptionally happy manner. So happy. Jiang Zhao threw the briefcase in his hand on the table. He hugged the woman's butt and walked into the living room. Yes, of course I'm happy. How can I not be happy when I see my hubby coming home from outside every day, healthy, handsome, and beautiful? Your mouth is so sweet. Did you put honey on it? Yes, I did. Why don't you try it? Come on, try it. Yi Er learned this from Jiang Zhao. She learned very quickly and applied what she learned on the spot. Yes. He took a bite and smacked his lips to taste it. He frowned and seemed to ask very seriously, "What kind of honey? What kind of nectar? I haven't tasted it yet." Try it again and study it. Then you have to taste it carefully. Yi Er stretched her head out to let the man eat. She looked as cute as a child. Yi Er's mouth was almost swollen from the man's kisses. Finally, she pushed him away. Okay, I'll tell you. It's red grape honey. Have you tried it? Jiang Zhao nodded very seriously. Yes, Uni brand. Yes, Uni brand. Yi Er pointed at the red grapes on the tea machine and ordered, "Go over there. I just washed them. Eat some fruit before we go to bed." Okay. She was placed on the sofa by Jiang Zhao. Yi Er giggled. "I'll give you some red grapes." Jiang Zhao shook his head and nibbled on Yi Er's neck. "I want to eat Uni brand red grape honey." Yi Er reached out to the tea machine's tray and picked up a piece of grape honey. She put it in her mouth and smiled as she ate it. Jiang Zhao took a piece of tissue and put it in her mouth. Yi Er spat out the tissue. Jiang Zhao crumpled the tissue and threw it into the trash can. He shouted happily, "Eat honey, eat honey." There was a sweet taste in his mouth. It was yours, mine, and he couldn't tell it apart. Jiang Zhao rubbed the woman under his body. Those soft skin felt so soft in his hands that he wanted to crush it. He pushed up the clothes and took off Daodu, who was covered by her underwear. "Hey." Yi Er patted Jiang Zhao. It was so ticklish that she wanted to laugh. She shrank back. "I told you to eat red grapes. Where are you biting?" Jiang Zhao fiddled with her fingertips and gently scraped with his teeth. He shook his head. "No, I want to eat cherry peach, okay?" Yi Er was trembling from being eaten. She twisted and turned, trying to find a comfortable place. Her underwear was pulled away, and they were separated. The man slowly buried himself in the woman's underwear. Yi Er took a deep breath. "Jiang Zhao, what are you doing? Didn't you say we were going to bed?" Jiang Zhao pushed hard and let out a comfortable groan. His voice was hoarse like jade. "What are you doing?" "Fuck you. PFFF. Yi Er was stimulated. Jiang Zhao didn't say such crude words. When two people were in bed, they were happy. Even if he did it until his face and ears turned red, he would only murmur some ambiguous words in a gentle voice. Why? She couldn't accept such words. She couldn't accept it. It doesn't sound good. You're not allowed to say that. Huh? Isn't it? Wave after wave, he repeatedly asked. There was a naughty smile in his voice. Isn't it? Yi Er couldn't take it anymore and could only admit defeat. Yes, you're right. The moon was high in the sky. The two of them moved to the bedroom. Yi Er was lying on Jiang Zhao's body. Her eyes were curved into crescents. Her bright mood and happiness were written in her eyes. Hubby, I went to see Dad tonight. The doctor said that Dad's condition is getting better and better. I'm so happy. Jiang Zhao was originally caressing the woman's smooth back with his eyes closed in enjoyment. At this moment, his hand froze. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and looked at Yi, his gaze fixed on her. Her eyes didn't come back to their senses for a long time. There was a ball of anger in her heart. The hand behind her lifted up and caressed her forehead. He touched her and said in a suppressed voice, "Yin Yi, huh?" Jiang Zhao felt that the atmosphere was a little serious, so he put on a shameless smile. "If one day you had to choose between your father and me, who would you choose?" When Yi saw Jiang Zhao like this, she couldn't help but snort. She slapped his chest and asked him, "If your mother and I fell into the river, who would you save first?" Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 697. Jiang Zhao could almost feel his eyebrows knitting together. "Let's save them together. One of us will carry them while the other will carry them. I know how to swim." Yi kissed Jiang Zhao on the cheek. "Huh, okay." After Yi fell into a deep sleep, Jiang Zhao began to toss and turn, unable to fall asleep. He quietly got out of bed and went to the balcony outside. At this time, the weather was not as cold as before, but the night was as cold as water, and the wind was still somewhat bone-chilling. He lit a cigarette and took a deep breath. The orange light instantly brightened up the man's face, and he could clearly see that his handsome eyebrows were deeply furrowed and his expression was serious. He had asked Yi purely unintentionally. It was one thing for a person to have confidence, but confidence did not mean that they would succeed 100%. It meant that even if they did not succeed, they could still afford to lose. He did not have 100% confidence, but this time, he might not be able to afford to lose. Zhuang Yichen's words constantly reminded him that he had indeed been stagnant for too long. Ever since he got together with Yi, he had indeed retreated a lot because he cared too much about this family. He was a little lazy, and this laziness made Zhuang Yichen very dissatisfied. In fact, he could feel Zhuang Yichen's dissatisfaction, but since they were not together, it was also a form of trust. Originally, the matter with the Zhuang family should have been put on the agenda long ago, but because Qiantong was a stumbling block, they could not take that step forward. In the past, he was afraid that if these people were involved, it would make Yun Hongwei's matter more and more difficult. Zhuang Yichen was right. At most, Yun Hongwei would be guilty of bribery. Now that he was in a serious coma, even if he was sentenced, it would not be a death sentence. If it was not a death sentence, then he would have to continue receiving treatment. Human rights were there. As long as Yun Hongwei slept for a few more years, everything that needed to be dealt with could be dealt with cleanly. Jiang Zhao took another deep breath of the cigarette. The orange light shone into his eyes, reflecting a murderous glint. It was imperative. There was no other choice. He couldn't abandon the future of the Jiang family and the Qin family just because of Yi. Although he and Zhuang Yichen were using each other, he couldn't betray the trust he had in him. As long as he moved faster. Yun Hongwei had only woken up a few years later. Jiang Zhao exhaled, walked into the living room, and put out the cigarette in the ashtray. Back on the bed, Yi lay on her side. Jiang Zhao propped himself up beside her and planted a soft kiss on her earlobe. "Yin Yi, I'm sorry." Jiang Zhao sighed and lay down beside Yi. The pillow slowly became wet. Yi was very sensitive, but she still maintained her sleeping position and didn't move an inch. At dawn the next day, the situation in Sea City suddenly changed dramatically. Mayor Qiantong's sexy photos were spread all over the city in different ways. For a time, there were discussions everywhere. Qiantong's colleagues distanced themselves from the news, afraid that they would be involved in any news that was unfavorable to them. At the same time, Qiantong's 19-year-old son's life suddenly went against all the unfavorable situations. He was transferred to Beijing's elite private school and was going through the procedures to go abroad at the fastest speed. The person who was handling these procedures was not Qiantong's family, so there was no way to check their information. When Qiantong was investigating the confessions, there were almost no fish that escaped the net. However, he did not mention Zhuang Yichen. It was as if this person had never appeared in his life, Min Hongsheng was suspected of bribery and was under investigation. Ouyang Sheng was suspected of bribery and insider trading, and was under investigation. Ouyang Yu was suspected of bribery, illegal loans, and using his power to seek personal benefits, and was under investigation. Zhuang Jingren was suspected of bribery and money laundering, and was under investigation. Yun Hongwei was suspected of bribery, but because he was in a long-term coma, he relied on a large number of instruments and expensive drugs to sustain his meager life. The evidence was proven, and the investigation could not be carried out. He continued to be released on bail for medical treatment. Suddenly, the political situation in Sea City was reversed. The position of mayor was suddenly empty. Zhuang Yichen held a clear and bright crystal glass. The amber liquid swirled in his hand, and he seemed to be very happy. In the private room of the peerless beauty Zhao Jun, the sound of glasses clinking against each other was like a stirring concert. The two people who raised their glasses smiled and drank happily. The two of them stood facing each other at the side of the princess bar. "Brother Zhao, you should have done this long ago." "I was right." Jiang Zhao touched Zhuang Yichen's glass. At this moment, his mood was as relaxed as Zhuang Yichen's. "Yes, that's right. After getting rid of Chen Tong, I feel much better. I suddenly feel that my hands and feet are free. This feeling is really good." Zhuang Yichen raised his glass and drank a mouthful of wine. In fact, in front of Jiang Zhao, he still smiled a lot, especially when he was teasing or ridiculing. When he smiled, it was as if pear blossoms had bloomed overnight. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "If you didn't know Yunyi, how could Chen Tong be so carefree now? That's why the ancients say that beauty is a source of calamity." Haha. Jiang Zhao just smiled and ignored Zhuang Yichen's disrespectful words about Yi Er. Anyway, what he said was the truth. It was fine to admit it. Even if a beauty was a source of calamity, she had to have the ability. To be able to harm Jiang Zhao, it was also Yi Er's ability. Jiang Zhao thought so in his heart. You're right. But Yun Yi has her good points. It doesn't matter if she's a little slow. Zhuang Yichen looked at Jiang Zhao and asked curiously, "Is marriage so good?" "Marriage has its good points. It's stable." "Do men think so too?" Zhuang Yichen always thought that only women would think this way. It should be people who yearn for a complete family. They all feel this way. I've always yearned for a complete family, so marriage makes me feel very stable. In fact, Jiang Zhao never shared his thoughts and experiences with Zhuang Yichen. It would be very pretentious for men to say these things. However, Zhuang Yichen's eyes were too serious as he waited for his answer. To repay his sincerity, he still said it. Zhuang Yichen listened more and more seriously. Suddenly, he shook his head and pointed at Jiang Zhao with his index finger. "Marriage is a tie. I concluded it from you. You concluded it indiscriminately. When you were in school, you got a 0. Zhuang Yichen said disdainfully, "I don't need high marks for exams. Those who get full marks on the paper are crazy." Jiang Zhao raised his eyebrows proudly. "Are you talking about me?" Zhuang Yichen laughed out loud. "Yes, you've always been sick in the head. Thank you for letting me win." Haha. Jiang Zhao laughed impudently. "But let me tell you, my grades in primary school were very bad, so when my brain was building the foundation, it didn't have any illness. Even if I got sick later, it could be cured. As long as I wasn't born sick, it wasn't a serious illness." Haha. Haha. The two of them drank and chatted happily. It had been a long time since they were so proud. Jiang Zhao let out a long sigh and returned to the topic. "What do you plan to do with Chen Tong's son?" "I'm afraid that this line will take a long time and will be troublesome." Zhuang Yichen leaned against the bar counter and put his elbows on the counter. He shrugged. "Of course I'll take good care of him. I know that it will be troublesome. But Chen Tong is very cunning. It's inevitable that he will go back on his words and bite me. I have to leave him a way out. You were right when you reminded me." He can ignore his wife, but his son is his lifeblood. He won't ignore him. With this chess piece in my hand, I'll use both the carrot and the stick. As long as Chen Tong dares to drag me down, his son will suffer. He's very smart. He won't do that. Jiang Zhao was standing beside Zhuang Yichen. He raised his elbow and nudged him. Good fellow, will you do the same thing behind my back? Zhuang Yichen raised his chin and pretended to look at Jiang Zhao contemptuously. He snorted. You have to be careful. Don't make a move behind my back. Otherwise, I'll have a lot of things to use against you. Jiang Zhao couldn't help but laugh. Of course, when I'm at my wit's end, I'll immediately pull you out and perish together with me. You have to be careful and protect me well. This is for your own sake. If we weren't brothers, I wouldn't have told you this secret, haha. God. How did I find an ally like you? You're a bomb now. Zhuang Yichen seemed to be annoyed as he finished speaking. He smiled and poured Jiang Zhao and himself with a bottle of wine. Then, he knocked the wine glasses against each other. Cheers. For treating each other with sincerity and for dying together in the future. After Jiang Zhao's glass was knocked, he raised it. Cheers. For the sake of cutting off all means of retreat, for the sake of the possibility of being blown to pieces at any time in the future. The friendship between men, be it interests, morality, or an inexplicable mutual admiration and recognition, in short, not everyone could bear the title of brother. Jiang Zhao returned to the building. Li Ran seemed to be having a headache. His face was filled with wrinkles. What's wrong? Why are you so tired during working hours? Li Ran held his forehead. Boss, you are going to be the substitute mayor. It's hard on me. Oh. Jiang Zhao felt that it was quite interesting to meet a blockhead like Li Ran. Back then, he had fired Lu Cheng and wanted to find someone more honest. The old director of the Public Security Bureau had recommended Li Ran, saying that he knew his place. Moreover, great wisdom begets fools. If Li Ran's foolishness was real, Jiang Zhao really couldn't tell. If Dong Xuebing becomes the acting mayor, he will be the acting mayor in the future. The position of the acting mayor will also be different. Li Ran said with a bitter face. They keep calling you to invite you out for meals and social events. I told them that your schedule is full, but they feel that I am your secretary and you are related to each other. They insist on inviting me out. I told them that I am a clean secretary, but they don't believe me. Sigh. Don't they know that my ass is not a horse's ass, but a cow's ass? Jiang Zhao chuckled, but patted Li Ran's shoulder and said earnestly, then use your cow but as a horse's butt. Li Ran looked at Jiang Zhao speechlessly, feeling even more distressed. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 698. Boss, what should I do in the future? Li Ran asked. Tell them that a document has been issued from the top recently. Fight corruption and promote integrity. Tell them to work overtime every day and don't have time to socialize. They will be stupid if they don't understand this hint. Jiang Zhao said and returned to his seat. Li Ran suddenly laughed. Boss, how come you're so smart? Why didn't I think of this? I will know how to reject them in the future. But you still have to entertain others. You can't reject everyone. You should learn from them. Jiang Zhao opened his pen and looked at Li Ran. Li Ran, you are only a few years younger than me. Don't use honorifics in the future. Just use it in public. If not, you will not be used to it. Li Ran scratched her head. Okay. I will remember it. After Li Ran left the office, Jiang Zhao understood what the old bureau chief said about Li Ran. The so-called great wisdom attracts the foolish was because some people were hiding their intelligence. They were trying to test their limits step by step. Everyone knew that the position of the mayor's secretary was very important. Getting the mayor's secretary to do public relations was also a very basic method. Li Ran's cleverness lay in the fact that he didn't know Jiang Zhao's bottom line. He kept the most basic probing, and in the process of probing, he grasped his own limits. Other people are round on the outside but square on the inside. But Li Ran is round on the outside but square on the inside? Jiang Zhao felt he is interested in this person. He does not want another Lu Cheng to appear. To him, loyalty is more important than anything else. Yi Er went to the hospital more often because the doctor said Yun Hongwei has a high chance of waking up. But there was no progress recently. Yi Er was very anxious. Every time she went to the main doctor and assistant doctor, the same answer would be given. There is no standard data on when the patient will wake up. Most of the time, the patient's symptoms will recur. Furthermore, the patient's heart condition is very serious. So, it is normal for him to not wake up. Yi Er felt the whole process is torturous. Half a month ago, she felt the sun had started to warm up. But now, it is April, and the weather is still not warm. She felt the cold wind from time to time. Looking at her father lying on the hospital bed, the burden in her heart became heavier and heavier. If her father was already 70 years old, she wouldn't have anything to say. Birth, old age, sickness, and death were things that no one could escape since ancient times. She wouldn't be so stubborn. However, 40 years old was too young for a man. Many men started their careers in their 40s, and some even started their careers in their 50s. Her father's current wish might not fall on his career, but Si Jia was growing up. After all, she was an older sister. It would be a happy thing to have a father watching him grow up, right? She had suffered too much at home, so she didn't like Si Jia's precociousness. Children who matured too early were not cute. They were really not cute. They would always make people feel pity for them. Si Jia was like that. She felt that Si Jia was very pitiful. Doctor, although there is no hard data to prove that my father can wake up, at the very least, the situation should be developing in a good direction, right? Why do I feel like something's not right? The doctor looked at Yi Er. With his hands in his white coat, he said, Mrs. Jiang, for such a critically ill patient, many things are actually normal. Some things will suddenly get worse when they suddenly get better. Actually, I feel like it's good to maintain the same level as it is now. At least it hasn't gotten worse. Yi Er didn't understand professional things, and the doctor's words were very official. She couldn't find any flaws in his words. Even though Yi Er's heart was full of doubts, she could only secretly worry. She thought back to what Jiang Zhao had asked her that night. If she had to choose between him and her father, who would she choose? She only asked him back and didn't answer. Later, when he said sorry, she heard it clearly. She didn't know why he wanted to apologize to her, but his tone was too sincere and moving. It was so low and slightly hoarse that she couldn't help being moved. Those words, which clearly didn't have any hints, actually made her cry. She didn't know if her brain had a cramp, but she actually thought of that incident. When she came out of the hospital, she was accompanied by a burly bodyguard hired by Zhua Hao. Yi Er shook her head helplessly. The bodyguard didn't leave her side at all. Before she reached the garage, someone suddenly called out to her. This voice was very familiar. She turned around and smiled. Unwu. Unwu hadn't seen Yi Er in a long time. He didn't expect to see Yi Er here. He carefully looked her up and down with a hint of worry. Yi Er, are you sick? Yi Er shook her head. No, I'm here to see my father. What about you? Hearing Yi Er's reply, Unwu seemed to heave a sigh of relief. He actually revealed a shy expression. I accompanied Grandpa to have his health checked. I haven't seen you in a long time. You're becoming more and more mature. After saying this, his face couldn't help but blush slightly. Feeling his face heat up, Unwu lowered his head. Mature? Are you saying that I'm old? Haha. Yi Er was a little happy to see Unwu, but she remembered what Jiang Zhao had said to her before. Jiang Zhao didn't like Unwu, and he didn't like her interacting with Unwoo even more. Did all women have to lose their friends of the opposite sex when they got married? Even though she was a little reluctant, she still said to Unwoo, "Unwoo, I have to go back early. Say hello to Grandpa Shi for me. I'll visit him another day." Unwoo was stunned. His hands at his sides opened and closed, but he finally nodded. Okay. After Yi-er turned around, Unwoo caught up with her after a few steps. He wanted to reach out to pull her, but in the end, he put his hand down and called out to her. When she turned around, he asked, "Yi-er, is Zhao good to you?" Yi-er looked at Unwoo. Looking at his clear eyes, she felt as if a flower had bloomed in her heart. In the end, her eyes curved into a sweet crescent moon. Him? He's very good to me. Unwoo was momentarily stunned. He hummed softly like a mosquito and smiled. You should go back early. I'll meet you guys for dinner another day. Okay. He looked at Yi-er's back as she walked further and further away. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail. When he first met her, it was dyed, but now it was mostly black. The yellow at the bottom was almost cut. Just now, she was in front of him. In this season, she was wearing a small white shirt and a thin cardigan. The color was the blue of the sky. The white around her chest and collar were exposed outside the blue cardigan. It was like a white cloud floating in the azure sky. That back was getting further and further away. Brother, are you crying? And handed him a handkerchief. Her voice was soft as she did not dare to disturb Unwoo. Unwoo took the handkerchief and turned around. I'm fine. It was fine. She said that she was very good. The word good came from her eyes. She did not have the sorrow she had when she was lying in the grass. She had her own happiness. He was just a passerby in her life. An insignificant passerby. Luckily, he was just a passerby. Luckily. And followed Unwoo into the hospital. Yang Yen was sitting in Yi-er's office. When he saw that Yi-er had returned, he stood up. The bodyguard's face darkened. Yang Yen gave him a friendly smile, but his words were a little sarcastic. Mrs. Jiang, I didn't expect you to hire a bodyguard now that you're a big shot. Jiang Zhao really treats you differently. Yi-er shook his head at the bodyguard, indicating that there was no need for him to chase her away. He walked past Yang Yen, raised his chin, and glanced at her contemptuously. Then he walked back to his desk. Thank you. It's not appropriate to talk about the love between husband and wife, but you insisted on helping me analyze it like this. I feel quite comfortable listening to it. The corner of Yang Yan's mouth twitched. Let me tell you. Don't think I don't know Jiang Zhao is behind this. If he is unhappy, he can come at me. Why did he have to harm my grandfather and uncle? Yi never cared about Jiang Zhao's work, and Jiang Zhao would not tell her the details of his work when he went home. However, the political situation in High City had changed so much that every family knew about it. Although Jiang Zhao did not take the initiative to admit that he was behind the Ouyang family's incident, Jiang Zhao had said that it would be a tough battle. He had to go all out to bring down his opponent, and this opponent must be Chen Tong. She did not know about other political matters, but she knew that Chen Tong was the mayor, and Jiang Zhao was the deputy mayor. Chen Tong had always been at odds with Jiang Zhao. It was not easy for Jiang Zhao to enter the standing committee. After Chen Tong fell and Jiang Zhao took over, he could successfully enter the standing committee. When Chen Tong fell, many big families would be implicated. The family Ouyang was the first to bear the brunt. They deserved it. But no one would be stupid enough to talk about the political infighting. Wasn't Yang Yen in the examination institute? Why did he come to question her? Yi-er did not even raise her head. The TV program was already in full swing. She had to make arrangements for the people in the dance studio. She buried her head in the list and said calmly. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Moreover, don't you know that the Jiang and Qin families are male chauvinistic rich families? As the daughter-in-law of this family, I don't dare to talk nonsense like you. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Some things you say will be criminally liable. You don't have any evidence, and yet you are talking nonsense here. I can sue you for slander. Yang Yen wanted to get close to Yi Er's table, but she was stopped by the bodyguards. She could only yell in a ladylike manner across the table. Slander? A vixen like you dares to sue me for slander? If it weren't for you, would our family Yang become like this? Yi Er did not back down. She raised her head and calmly looked into the eyes of the manic Yang Yen. She sneered. Why don't you say that if it weren't for you, would your family Yang become like this? Beauty novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 699. Yang Yen had long realized that all the changes had something to do with Jiang Zhao, and Jiang Zhao's actions were entirely because he was still brooding over the previous incident. But even if she had a vague guess, she was unwilling to be confirmed. At this moment, Yi Er's words were undoubtedly cutting her fair skin with a knife. She had been pampered since she was young, and she couldn't accept that it was her own selfish desires that caused her family to fall. Yun Yi. Let me tell you, a woman like you will suffer retribution. She couldn't win against the bodyguard's strength, so she could only vent her dissatisfaction with her words. Yi Er's eyes darkened slightly as she looked down. She said lightly, Thank you, Miss Ouyang, for your concern. See, you and Jiang Zhao won't have a good ending. You're a burden. What benefits have you and Jiang Zhao brought to him? Don't talk about benefits. You're just a poor person who can't do anything right. Yang Yen was trying her best to be sarcastic. Yi Er was still burying her head in the circle, but the hand holding the pen had turned white. You dragged your family of good-for-nothings to marry Jiang Zhao. Your father has a lot of dirty things behind his back. He's like a pile of shit, and you still have the nerve to ask Jiang Zhao to get him out of prison. Once Jiang Zhao made a move, the entire Jiang family shook. You really have the nerve. Is your face thicker than the city walls? You have the nerve. What right do you have? What have you done for Jiang Zhao? Did Jiang Zhao owe you in his previous life? Isn't that mother of yours embarrassing? Isn't it embarrassing that the mother of the mayor's wife ended up like that? Hu and Haiqing didn't relish in talking about her. On the other hand, Hu didn't point at Jiang Zhao's spine and make irresponsible remarks behind his back. Isn't that younger brother of yours supported by Jiang Zhao? Jiang Zhao was also the one who opened the dance studio for you, right? You even went on TV shows? Jiang Zhao was a sucker. He must be an idiot to marry a useless woman like you. Yang Yen had finally turned himself into the kind of woman he used to hate the most, a shrew. Yi Er could hear the Yang Yen's roars echoing in her ears. She couldn't hear what he was saying as her ears were buzzing. When she looked up, she saw the Yang Yen's face was distorted and he was shouting something at her, but she couldn't hear anything. Throw her out. When Yi Er lowered her head, her voice was not loud. Even she felt that her voice was very soft. She was afraid that the people in the room could not hear her, so she shouted, Throw her out. Yi Er was walking on the street in a daze. The bodyguards were keeping a distance from her. She said she wanted to walk by herself for a while. His neck tilted backward until it could not be tilted any further. His head seemed to be very heavy, and the Yunyi in the sky was all blurry and misty. She wanted to save her father. There was nothing wrong with that, right? This was her motive for getting close to Jiang Zhao. However, she did not expect that her motive would become so impure in the end. She really hoped that there would be some wind at this moment to blow away some of the clouds in the sky. Then, there would be some dark clouds and heavy rain. She would just stand here and let the storm wash her clean, washing her until she was 17 years old. At that time, the Yun family had not declined. Her father was a modest and elegant businessman. Her mother was the wife of a wealthy family. Her younger brother was smart, cute, innocent, and smart. At that time, she was the miss of the Yun family. She lived a life of luxury and did not have to do anything. She went to and from elite schools and was picked up by expensive cars. She went to banquets with her classmates in groups of 3 or 5. Everyone called her Miss of Yun University. At that time, although the Yun family and the Jiang family were still far apart, at least they were well matched in terms of social status. At least she was not a burden. The phone in her handbag was ringing and ringing. It went from a blurry ringtone to a clear ringtone. She did not know how many times it had rung. However, when she picked up the phone, the man on the other end sounded anxious. Yun Yi. What's wrong? Ah, Zhao. When she picked up the phone, she did not even look at the caller ID. When she heard the man's voice, she could not help but smile. Do you miss me? Let go of her hand. The man did not seem to like her acting coquettishly. He was still angry. You're still in the mood to joke around? Why didn't you pick up the phone for so long? Did something happen? A warm feeling rose in her heart. I'm on the street outside. I didn't hear you. Don't be angry. Which street are you on? I'll pick you up. She looked at the position of the sun in the sky and held the phone in front of her. The time was displayed at the top of the screen. She put the phone to her ear again. What's the matter? It's not time to get off work yet. Grandpa is having dinner with the Han family tonight. In order to make it seem official, everyone in the family has to attend. The Han family? The Han family that has a marriage agreement with Shenxian? Yes. Grandpa is the peacemaker. The Shen family is hosting this dinner. They want to annul Shenxian's marriage. Yi Er sighed softly. Annulling an engagement. Actually, there's no marriage certificate. That kind of verbal marriage has no legal effect. They don't have to do this, right? They can just say hello. When the family men annulled the engagement, they only mentioned it briefly. It's not the same. After Jiang Zhao picked up Yi Er, he sat in the car and continued what they had discussed on the phone. This is not an ordinary family annulling an engagement. It has no legal effect, but it will hurt the harmony between the families. The Shen family is most afraid of hurting the harmony between the families. The Shen family has already suffered a lot because of Shenxian's dowry. How can they offend the other families? Yi Er's hand was still nestled in Jiang Zhao's dry and warm hand. She tilted her head and gazed at him. Her smile was full of admiration. Grandpa is really amazing. He can even meddle in this kind of matter. Jiang Zhao was driving with one hand. He squeezed the little woman's hand and stroked her fingers with his thumb. His gaze fell on the traffic in front of him. It was rare for him to be so calm. He smiled. He has no choice. The position is there. As the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, he has his prestige. A person's position and responsibility are proportional. If he couldn't find a way to resolve the conflict between the families, how could he have been in this position for so many years? Moreover, this matter is beneficial to the Qin family. Yi Er didn't understand. Beneficial? The Shen family's 100 billion dowry can be given to the Pei family. It has nothing to do with the Qin family at all. Why do they have to run around and cause trouble? Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er's interested expression. His eyes were full of love as he carefully analyzed the situation for her. He was afraid that he would miss out on some details that would be difficult for her to understand. After listening to Jiang Zhao's explanation, Yi Er finally understood why Qin Rongfang was so dedicated. If Shenxian could successfully marry into the Pei family and avoid the danger of going to jail, then the Shen family would naturally be grateful. And this matter was orchestrated by Qin Rongfang from the beginning to the end. From then on, the Qin family would have another powerful brother like the Shen family in Haicheng. In the past, although they lowered their heads and met face to face, they definitely couldn't be considered family friends. Now, it was different. And now, the marriage between Fei Yu and the Pei family was a foregone conclusion. The Qin family and the Shen family were even more related. In Haicheng, the Han family was indeed not to be underestimated. However, the Pei family in the south was the real prestigious family. It was natural that they wouldn't help the Han family because Shenxian's chess game was already set. She could either marry into a vegetative state and accept punishment to atone for her sins or go to jail. There was no choice. Even if the Shen family was unwilling, they couldn't compete with the Pei family's power. After all, the incident happened in City Ji and not Haicheng. There was no room for negotiation. The chess game was already set. The Qin family was just doing a favor. Why would they bother to do something that was strenuous and unrewarding? The dinner that night didn't become friendly because of Qin Rongfang's prestige. Instead, the smell of gunpowder was quite strong. This gunpowder wasn't from the Shen family, but from the Han family. In the super luxurious room of Haiyu restaurant, the oxygen in the air was getting thinner and thinner. There were 2 tables. The elders and the parents, as well as the main cause of the incident, sat at one table. The juniors like the grandchildren sat at the other table. It seemed dispensable, but it symbolized the importance of the Han family. Old Master Shen and Shen Xiong had actually hinted many times about breaking off the engagement. However, Han Xiang didn't agree no matter what, so Old Master Han didn't agree. Once this matter came out, what Han Xiang couldn't accept the most was that Shen Xian was forced to marry a vegetative state after breaking off the engagement with him. No matter what, he wouldn't break off the engagement. Even if the sky fell, he wouldn't do it. Qin Rongfang didn't expect Han Xiang to be so stubborn. A few elders tried to persuade him, but it only made Han Xiang angrier. His beautiful peach blossom eyes were very intense at this time. His angry look could be seen at a glance. He slammed the table and stood up. His voice was very loud. Why? Shen Xian. She's my fiancée. Everyone in Haicheng knows that the woman I, Han Xiang, will marry in the future is Shen Xian. Why should I give her to someone else? Don't even think about it. Don't think that you can ruin things just because you're respected. Qin Rongfang was really helpless. He glanced at Shen Xiong. The other party also looked troubled, so he could only brace himself and face the difficulties. Usually, it was okay to deal with some old guys, but when faced with hot-blooded young men who looked like they were guarding their territory, it was still an unusual headache. He raised his hand and pressed down. Chiang, listen to Grandpa Qin. Han Xiang's mood at this moment was both suppressed and painful. Facing the elders who he usually lowered his head to greet, he couldn't talk about respecting the elders at this time. He only said arrogantly, talk about what? There's no talk. There's no discussion about giving in to my wife. I'm going to Ji City now. I must bring Shen Xian back. Jiang Zhao calmly picked up the food with his chopsticks and put it into Yi Er's bowl. As if he didn't hear the argument at the table behind him, he put his left hand on Yi Er's leg and rubbed it. He said gently, if you don't eat something now, you'll definitely be hungry later. Add Songshu 566. Chapter 700. Yi Er didn't know whether he should eat or not. If he ate at this juncture, wouldn't it show that he wasn't following the rules? If he didn't eat, he would be letting Jiang Zhao down. As if seeing through Yi Er's thoughts, Jiang Zhao nudged Qin Fian who was sitting beside him. Fian, eat. Qin Fian was taken aback. Bro, that's not very good, right? They can make a fuss. We'll eat our food. Jiang Zhao started to eat first. Qin Fian could only follow behind, risking his life to accompany the gentleman. Usually, there were many rules in the family clans here, especially those close to each other. It seemed that every family's rules were more or less the same. At this time, the elders of the Qin family, Shen family and Han family were all present. That table hadn't started eating yet, but the younger generation's table had already started eating. Shen Kai, who had been thinking about something troubling him, also raised his chopsticks. Eat, eat. And so, the younger generation all started eating. Let's eat then. Feiyu was sullen the whole time, only eating in small bites. Qin Fian couldn't help it. He asked Fei Yu if she had something on her mind. Fei Yu only shook her head, then said that she was revising her lessons, not communicating with him. A girl's thoughts were hard to guess. The younger generation at the table all picked up their chopsticks, but the background of the table behind them suddenly changed, as if the surging heavy metal music had suddenly turned into a mournful arrow. Shen Xiong was the least spirited one. He was holding a handkerchief tightly in his hand, trembling unsteadily. In his somewhat dark eyes, there were some tears. He wanted to speak a few times, but because he was afraid that he would be too sad, he couldn't open his mouth. Qin Rongfang couldn't bear to see him like that. He turned to Han Qiang and said, "Qiang, do you think old Shen is willing to give his granddaughter was going to marry a vegetative person? The Shen clan only has one daughter. She's the only one in the entire house. She's the only one." When Shen Xiong heard Qin Rongfang's words, he quickly lowered his eyes and looked at his own legs. He rubbed his handkerchief against his nose and tears fell. When he thought about how his granddaughter would have to serve a vegetable for the rest of her life, his heart felt like someone was cutting it with a knife. It hurt terribly. When Han Qiang saw Shen Xiong's sadness, his body trembled and he slowly sat down. Qin Rongfang sighed, but he only has one girl in his house, so he can't possibly send her to jail, right? Although little Xian had married a vegetable, but you'll have to spend time in a place like prison, right? Han Qiang gritted his teeth and said, "Grandpa Qin, our Han family can also pay. I want to get Shen Xian back." Qin Rongfang could see that Han Qiang cared about Shen Xian very much. He didn't come here to pester Han Qiang endlessly because he was ashamed of breaking off the engagement. His words became more sincere and meaningful. "Qiang, if money could solve the problem, would your grandpa Shen take this step? That's his biological granddaughter." Because of this matter, he didn't get out of bed for many days. He couldn't bear to scold or hit that girl. Sigh, the Pei family isn't an ordinary family. They have money and power, so they don't care about those things. What they want is to vent their anger. If they don't vent their anger, little Xian won't be safe. You have to know that Pei Jincheng was hit by that girl. It's a fact that the back of his head was injured, and it's also a fact that he's in a vegetative state. She deliberately hurt him and caused serious consequences. This punishment isn't light. You like her. At this juncture, only her safety is the most important thing. Nothing else is important. Han Qiang left before the dinner officially started. Before he left, he agreed to break off the engagement. In Ji City, the Pei family was quickly preparing for the wedding. Pei Li spent a lot of money to hire a wax figure master to make 6 wax figures of Pei Jincheng. They were to be used in 4 different poses for the wedding photos, one for the church wedding, and one for the Chinese traditional costume at the wedding banquet. Shen Xian had just wiped Pei Jincheng's body with water and helped him put on his clothes again. She was sweating profusely. Before she had time to rest, she was called to try on the wedding dress again. During this process, she didn't say that she was tired. She also knew that there were some things that could be done by a nurse or a servant, but Pei Li wanted her to do it personally. She knew that the Pei family was venting their anger. She had to make up for her mistake. Her moment of anger ruined the happiness of 2 families. She knew it all. Since she was young, there was no one thing that made her understand this word so deeply. It was too late to regret. The me in the end. Although it was too late to regret it, she could only have no complaints. She didn't go to a high-end custom-made wedding dress shop to try on the wedding dress. Instead, the wedding dress shop brought all the wedding dresses to the Pei residence and sent them to Pei Jincheng's garden, Wudong Yuan, for Shen Xian to try on. There were wax figures photos placed in front of Shen Xian. According to the man's clothing style and color in the photo, she chose the most matching wedding dress. There were 6 photos in her hand. Shen Xian couldn't help but be a little absent-minded. This man was really good-looking. If outsiders knew that such an outstanding man was beaten into a vegetative state by her, would those women who adored him when she went out in the future? Would he die without a complete corpse? Fei Yu was in a bad mood. Qin Fian hugged Fei Yu and coaxed her. Little you, smile for your brother? I won't be reserved if I smile too much. Fei Yu still didn't seem to be energetic. He smiled and continued to tease her. What do you want to play? Tell me. I'll take you. I want to go home and sleep. I have an exam tomorrow. Qin Fian felt that he was being ignored. Fine. Let's go home. He stood up and said to Jiang Zhao. My little ancestor wants to go home. My little ancestor wants to go home. Jiang Zhao pulled Yi and stood up. Let's go. Let's go together. They should also leave. The few elders stayed behind to continue the discussion. When they just left Haiyu restaurant, Jiang Zhao's phone rang. He frowned. It was a call from the doctor at the hospital. He answered. Dr. Zhao, why are you calling so late? Before he could finish, the person on the other end of the phone said. Mayor Jiang, you need to come to the hospital immediately. The patient's condition suddenly worsened. Her heart rate suddenly became weak. I'm afraid she might not be able to get through this. Jiang Zhao's face darkened. Yi who was beside him, had stood on his tiptoes to eavesdrop on Jiang Zhao when he heard the words Dr. Zhao. At this time, his legs went soft, the car sped through the hazy and chaotic night. Yi didn't say anything. She appeared to be very calm, unusually calm. Jiang Zhao took a deep breath for a long time before he dared to exhale. His mind was filled with uneasiness, and his brain was in a mess. When they reached the hospital, Jiang Zhao ran faster than Yi. He was worried about something. Yi was still sitting quietly on the bench along the corridor. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was pacing back and forth in front of her. She smiled. Zhao, sit down for a while. It's okay. Don't worry. When Jiang Zhao saw Yi smile, he felt a sharp pain in his heart. He did not know why Yi smile was like a poisoned arrow. Her face was pale, and her lips were drained of color. Her hands were gripping the sides of the seat so tightly that it felt like she was going to break the seat. Her hair was a little loose, and it looked like she was really, really hurt. But she was smiling at him as though she was comforting him. It was just like in the past, when she had to please him even though she was hurt. Jiang Zhao felt like something was wrong. That strange feeling rose and fell in his chest like a huge wave crashing against his heart. The wind suddenly blew, and the waves crashed against him. He was in so much pain that his willpower almost couldn't withstand the huge impact. Jiang Zhao pulled up his trousers and squatted down in front of Yi. He called out in a low and hoarse voice. He pried her hands off the sides of the seat and held them in his palms. Yini, don't be like this, Zhao, what's wrong? I'm telling you not to worry. My father will be fine. Yi's eyes were curved. Under the light of the corridor lamp, the light in her eyes was even brighter. Her eyes were watery, and the corners of her mouth were curved into a gentle and lovely curve. She pulled her hands out of Jiang Zhao's large hands and stroked his eyebrows, nose, and lips. Every stroke was synonymous with handsome. She loved it so much. Really, she loved it so much. Sometimes, she felt like she was going crazy. She loved him so much. After being scolded by the Ouyang Yen, any self-respecting woman would be ashamed. But she couldn't help it. She loved him so much. Yes, it'll be fine. The man grabbed the woman's trembling hands, wrapped them, and pressed them against his face. He didn't even dare to believe it himself, but he firmly captured the woman's gaze and told her that it would be fine. Yi nodded slowly. She looked at the man squatting in front of her. His body swayed back and forth as though he was swaying very easily. But the voice that came from the bottom of her heart was bitter. Zhao, do you like children? I do. What about you? I'm still a child myself, but I quite like children. My little brother, he's so cute, isn't he? He was even cuter when he was young. When my mother gave birth to him, I was already 10 years old. He was just a little bit old. I still remember it. Really, he was just a little bit old. The first person my little brother would call wasn't Daddy or Mommy. The first person he would call was Big Sister. Yi Er's face broke into a smile. Her gaze was reminiscing about the past as she drifted away. Jiang Zhao squeezed Yi Er's hands, forcefully suppressing the surging uneasiness in his heart. Si Jia is very cute. Our future children will be very cute too. Grandma said that you gave birth to a girl. I like it very much. Yi Er nodded. Once, twice, faster and faster. It was as though the tears in her eyes couldn't stop. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 701. Yin Yi, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He put his hand to his lips. He didn't know how inappropriate his words were. He lowered his head and muttered repeatedly. Hearing this apology again, Yi Er's heart trembled violently. She shook her head. She wanted to distract herself, but the face in front of her was her husband, and then her father. That sentence hovered in her ears. Who are you going to choose? Who are you going to choose? Seeing the obvious self-blame in his eyes, who are you going to choose? Thinking of her father struggling on the verge of death, who are you going to choose? Sigh, I'm sorry. In the past, he would still discuss her father's case with her. Sometimes, even if she didn't mention it, he would still say something to comfort her. But this time, when Shentong fell from the horse, he almost didn't tell her the whole story. He had been calmly handling his affairs without any scruples. Without the scruples he had in the past, he was a merciless chess player. It was as if her father had never been a chess piece in this game. His methods were ruthless and decisive, and his speed was shocking. He almost didn't give Shentong any chance to counterattack. Every move was fatal. Everyone fell, except for her father. He had always been calm and collected. He would block soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. It turned out that she was so sensitive. She was so sensitive that she could guess his thoughts with just a sentence and a sigh. Yi Er lowered her head. She wanted to sleep. Once she fell asleep, her father would wake up, and everything would return to the beginning. But the door of the emergency room opened. Seeing the doctor's expression and the helplessness when his shoulders drooped, he walked over. Jiang Zhao stood up. Yi Er didn't hear what the doctor said. She only saw the doctor's lips open and close. He frowned and seemed to be powerless to comfort her. Yi Er stood up, turned around, and walked to the other end of the corridor. At this moment, her footsteps quickened. She heard the sound of the waves. Actually, she wanted to go to Hawaii for her honeymoon. She just liked the name. She had been to many places before, but she had never been to other places with Jiang Zhao. Other than Ji City, he was very busy. There was also the sound of the spatula stirring in the wok as the vegetables were poured into the wok. Chi. She could calmly cover the lid of the wok or wait for the flame to extinguish by itself before continuing to stir-fry. The sound of the stainless steel and the iron smashing against each other was filled with happy notes. Jiang Zhao loved to eat the dishes she cooked and said that she was a great chef. That kind of life was very beautiful. The sound of panting was the product of a man's passion before, during, and after passion. She was fascinated by it and could even hear his unbearable groans, followed by kisses. Those kisses were soft and fragmented with soft sounds, followed by his faint murmurs, Yun Yi, Yun Yi. Her arm was grabbed, then pulled, and she crashed into that embrace. It was both familiar and unfamiliar. She gripped the man's collar tightly, gritted her teeth, and squeezed out a voice from her lungs. I'll go back and cook. I'll give it to you when I get back. Cook for you. Yun Yi. The man hugged the woman in his arms like that. It was as if he was hugging a murderous weapon with large spikes all over its body. He hugged her tightly in his arms and used his chin to knock against her chin. Yun Yi. The elevator door opened with a ding sound. The weapon began to tremble as if it had been injected with some kind of divine power. It struggled fiercely. I want to go back, I want to go back. Yin Yi, listen to me. Wait a moment, I'll get someone to pick you up. I'll deal with it here. Deal with what? Yi Er raised her head, but she couldn't see the man above her head clearly. She only knew that there were water droplets dripping on her face, drop by drop, continuously dripping onto her face. Her chin kept trembling, and her teeth kept clattering against each other, making a low, tap, tap, tap sound. She looked at him in confusion, and her brows were furrowed in disbelief. Deal with what? What do you want to deal with here? I want to go home. What are you still doing here? You've watched for so long today. It's enough. Come again tomorrow. Come again tomorrow. Looking at Yi Er's self-deceiving and painful appearance, Jiang Zhao felt that his heart had turned into a piece of cloth. Yi Er's eyes were filled with inquiry, doubt, and hatred, but they were all covered up by deep pain. That gaze was like a hand stuck in the gap of the fabric of his heart. She exerted a little force, and he could hear a chi-la sound from his heart. She exerted another force, and there was another sound from his heart. Then, it was a long chi sound. The sound of something breaking. When she pulled it all the way to the end, the edge of the pain was the edge of the broken hair. It couldn't go back to how it was before. Yun Yi, the rescue is ineffective, ineffective. He pressed the woman's head against his collarbone. He didn't dare to look into her eyes again. He didn't dare to at all. He was so cowardly that he hated himself. You lied to me. He pushed her hard and rushed into the elevator. It was unknown how cold-resistant a person was to be able to survive year after year in a world of ice and snow. Then, they would grow up, mature, and age. Generation after generation, they would survive like this. Life was a force that couldn't be underestimated. However, Yi Er felt that her life force wasn't that tenacious. She was a little numb from the cold. Snowflakes were floating in the sky, and ice shards were falling. At this time, the wind was like a knife with ice shards. It scraped her face, tore her clothes, and hurt her entire body. After being in pain for a long time, she felt that it was so painful. Why did she still want to live? Because of this thought, her heart ached. Because so many people didn't feel pain, didn't suffer, and were happy. Every family had daily necessities. In the morning, they had soy milk and steamed buns. In the afternoon, they had fast food boxes for lunch. In the evening, their parents would disturb them. They talked about their studies, classmates, work, colleagues, and whose dogs in the community had gone missing. The owner was so worried that they cried, and so on and so forth. Every day, their families were dull and boring, but they were happy and blissful. That was something that she couldn't get even if she begged for it. Now, she didn't even have a part of it. She had been trying so hard to preserve it, but now, she didn't even have a part of it. Fian, come to the hospital. Yes, the hospital where my father-in-law is. Jiang Zhao held Yi Er with one hand and hung up the call with the other. Yi Er refused to go back to the hospital no matter what. She walked out with all her might. Jiang Zhao had no choice but to call Qin Fian and ask him to come over and deal with Yun Hongwei's matter. When a person suffered a huge blow, they would try to escape from reality. They would use another action to cover up the unacceptable truth. Just like Yi Er now. She felt that if she wasn't in the hospital, the fact that Yun Hongwei's rescue was ineffective would not be valid. As long as she pretended not to hear, it wouldn't become the truth. Time would turn back. She would think that if she had done something at this time, things wouldn't have turned out this way. When Qin Fian rushed to the hospital, Yi Er had fallen asleep in Jiang Zhao's arms. Jiang Zhao sat on the large sofa in the waiting room. Yi Er was lying on his lap, her head resting on his shoulder. Her long legs were placed on the sofa. This position wasn't comfortable to sleep in, but it looked like she was still asleep. Actually, Jiang Zhao knew that she wasn't asleep. She just didn't want to open her eyes. She didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to hear anyone talk. She didn't want to hear anyone talk about the fact that Yun Hongwei had already passed away. Qin Fian wasn't stupid. When Jiang Zhao was focused on killing Qin Tong, he knew that Yun Hongwei wouldn't wake up so easily. Otherwise, if Jiang Zhao cared so much about Yi Er, how could he ignore Yun Hongwei's situation? After all, it wasn't easy for him to get medical parole. There were already people criticizing him. Qin Tong's family involved Yun Hongwei. The Qin and Jiang families had analyzed this before. That was why they had been slowing down their actions or not taking any action at all, waiting for the matter to die down. Since everyone understood this logic, how could Jiang Zhao not understand it? But he had attacked his opponent ruthlessly at this juncture. This meant that he didn't have any worries. If a married couple had a harmonious relationship and didn't have any worries, then there was only one possibility. Yun Hongwei wouldn't wake up so soon. But the difference between not waking up so soon and never waking up was too big. Qin Fian didn't even say a word. He only glanced at Jiang Zhao in the waiting room, his eyes red as he hugged Yi Er. He adjusted his glasses and left. He quickly found a doctor and went through the relevant procedures. Jiang Zhao hugged Yi Er in his arms. It was different from the last time with the Ouyang Yen. At that time, she was forced to be in his arms. This time, although she struggled at first, she fell into his arms willingly and slept. Although he could see her eyes moving from time to time under her eyelids and the tears at the corners of her eyes never dried, she didn't struggle again. But even though she was quiet, he could still feel the aggressive nails all over her body. Yun Yi. The cuffs of his sleeves gently rubbed the corners of her eyes. Yi Er closed her eyes. After hearing this, the corners of her mouth moved slightly. She moved in the man's arms and leaned in. It seemed that she didn't find the right position, so she simply shrank down and rested her head on the man's lap. Her body curled up, and her face buried in his stomach. She sobbed and choked. "I'm a cloud. I float here and there. I don't have a fixed place. I'm just a cloud. Now, I feel that my surname is Yun. It's so sad." Her low voice was just like her words. It was so sad. In an instant, the clouds started to rain, wetting the man's clothes. Jiang Zhao didn't know how to catch this cloud. Betrayal could be corrected, forgiven, and found evidence to clear his name. But what about the revenge of killing his father? He held her hand and didn't dare to let go for a moment. The pain continued to spread. He tilted his head and looked out the window. It was already night time, and there were no clouds in sight. It seemed that there was no hope left. The man's voice was hoarse as if he was complaining. "Yun Yi, you're a cloud, but in my sky, you're the only cloud." Attention, Xinwu 799. Chapter 702. His sigh was the sound of air being squeezed out of his lungs. It sounded and then slowly stopped. Yi Er stayed quietly on Jiang Zhao's lap, no longer moving. She just listened to Jiang Zhao's breathing, felt his warmth and touch, so carefully, so caressing. She hated her own sensitivity, hated her own cowardice. She didn't go to Yun Hongwei's body to say goodbye. She told him to cremate it and didn't have a funeral. She just set up a tombstone at the public cemetery and then brought Si Jia to kneel in front of Yun Hongwei's grave. She didn't say anything. She just told Si Jia, this is your father, always will be. Everything was so simple that it was as if the tragedy had never happened. Yi Er started to get busy. She was so busy that she ate and slept in the dance studio. Whenever she had a little free time, she would run to the television station. With her sharp and capable appearance, no one could tell that this was a woman whose father had just passed away. Yi Er's only free time was to pick up Si Jia on Friday afternoon and then take him out for a big meal. When they were tired from playing, she would take Si Jia to a hotel and treat it as a vacation. This time, Jiang Zhao didn't rely on Yi Er like last time. 3 times a day, 3 times a day, 3 times a call. He just asked if she was busy, if she was tired, if she had eaten, when she was going to sleep, and then said goodnight to each other. Brother, why don't I go talk to sister-in-law and then tell her that we have to eat at home? Then she can't hide from you. Jiang Zhao stood in front of his desk, bent over, looking for something in the pile of documents on the table. He seemed to be teasing him. Fian, the weather is getting hot. Your swimming product is also in peak season. When are you going to treat me to a meal? Qin Fian looked at Jiang Zhao, who didn't answer his question, and shook his head. He sighed. Brother, what are you guys doing? Last time, when the Ouyang Yan incident happened, I didn't see you like this. Sit down and have a good talk with sister-in-law. Jiang Zhao continued to cover for him. He dug a hole in the table and still could not find what he was looking for. He rubbed his forehead and massaged it. It's not like you don't know that your sister-in-law doesn't have time now. She's extremely busy. She wants to do that show well, so just let her do it. She doesn't even want to go to school now. Brother. What the hell are you doing? Qin Fian picked up a book from the pile of teaching materials in front of him and slammed it on the table. He looked at Jiang Zhao angrily. Jiang Zhao raised his head. His eye sockets were slightly sunken, and his handsome face was slightly thin. Even if he was clean-shaven, his hair was neatly trimmed, and his clothes were meticulous. However, no matter how one looked at him, he looked a little tired. Qin Fian frowned. Look at you. You don't look like a human or a ghost. Last time, the Ouyang Yan incident didn't even make you look like this. Jiang Zhao heard this and sat down on his chair. He leaned against the chair and looked up at the ceiling. He was still holding an uncapped fountain pen in his hand. The tip of the fountain pen was stuck on the wooden armrest. The expensive fountain pen was bent and forked. His knuckles were white, and his voice sounded like he was in a trance. Fian, the acting mayor, has been appointed. He will take office next week. In July, I will be the mayor. Qin Fian sighed. I know. Everyone in the family knows. This is not your fault. Fian, the price is too high. I can't bear it. He did not expect such a big change. Qin Fian's back stiffened. He had never heard Jiang Zhao say, can't bear it, before. He could not imagine what it was like when Jiang Zhao said, can't bear it. Brother, some things are out of your control. It's useless to blame yourself. Also, you have been trying your best. Sister-in-law can understand. Jiang Zhao smiled. His smile was dry and stiff. He was still looking at the ceiling, as if he was very tired. How can I understand? What if it was you? Can you understand? She is like this now. What can I say to her? Don't you understand that if I talk to her, it will be a divorce? Actually, she knows everything. But she just doesn't want to verify it with me. She just doesn't want to break this piece of paper. She has been deceiving herself. She is suffering more than anyone else. Do you think she is stupid? She has never been stupid. Sometimes, she is like a little fox. Her heart is clear. Ichen asked me to invite you to the top floor of the Garden Hotel to sunbathe and drink tea. The weather is good now. It's almost time to get off work. Let's go together. Jiang Zhao stood up. That's good too. Let's go out and sit. Wait for me to get Li Ran to tidy up here. Let's go together. Jiang Zhao came out of the building and bumped into Zhou Li, who was dressed elegantly and beautifully. Jiang Zhao? Yes. Jiang Zhao could not be friendly to Zhou Li. He just responded faintly and then took a step back to distance himself from her. Qin Fian stood to the side and did not greet Zhou Li. Jiang Zhao, where are you going? I have something to talk to you about. Yes, I have something to do. Why are you looking for me? He knew that it was impossible for Yi Er to stay with Zhou Li. Moreover, the bodyguard kept reporting Yi Er's whereabouts. Yi Er did not like Zhou Li either. Zhou Li looked at Qin Fian awkwardly. Qin Fian pouted. He pouted. He shrugged and tactfully retreated. He went to the parking space and got into the car. Zhou Li watched Qin Fian leave and then looked at Jiang Zhao. Even though she was wearing high heels, there was still a big difference in height between her and Yi Er. Therefore, when she looked at the tall Jiang Zhao, she felt a little tired. Especially Jiang Zhao's aura, it always made her feel incomparably oppressed. Jiang Zhao, I want to apply for a spa card recently, but Yi Er is unwilling to give me money. I haven't traveled in a long time. You know, I don't have a job. You want cash? Jiang Zhao asked directly. You want to give me a card? Zhou Li's eyes suddenly lit up. Give me your card number and I'll transfer it to you. Jiang Zhao only wanted to send Zhou Li away quickly. The more he looked at her, the more uncomfortable he felt. Zhou Li immediately took out a card from her bag and handed it to Jiang Zhao. She smiled politely. This number. Jiang Zhao did not take the card. Send the number and name to my phone. I'll transfer it to you tonight. Tonight? Then what if you forgot? Let's go. Jiang Zhao turned around impatiently and strode toward the parking space. After driving away, Zhou Li was so anxious that she stomped her feet. She quickly hailed a taxi and followed him. In the car, Zhou Li sent her card number to Jiang Zhao. She did not receive a single reply. What a guy. This son-in-law is trying to cheat me. Zhou Li's days were especially torturous. Now that her daughter was not around, her son-in-law was starting to give her a hard time. Zhou Li called Jiang Zhao, but he did not pick up. Zhou Li had no choice but to chase after Jiang Zhao's car all the way to Garden Hotel. When she got out of the car, Jiang Zhao was nowhere to be seen. Not even a ghost could be found. After a long time, she suddenly had an idea. She raised her chin proudly and walked to the reception like a rich lady. I am Zhou Li, Mayor Jiang Zhao's mother-in-law. He has arrived. Please bring me to him. I am afraid he will get anxious from waiting for me. Even if Zhou Li was not Jiang Zhao's mother-in-law, there were many people who did not know about Yun Yi. But there were not many people who did not know about Zhou Li. She likes to attend fashion parties, and everyone said she had a youthful face. She would often teach people beauty tips, and she would appear in magazines from time to time. But she could not contact Jiang Zhao's mother-in-law. Zhou Li looked at the reception staff and said, My daughter is Yun Yi. She is Jiang Zhao's wife. After saying that, she opened her wallet. It was a photo of Yi Er and Jiang Zhao. See? Just bring me there. Later, there will be people from the Qin family coming over. If you can't find the place, you can also bring them over. Miss from the reception staff quickly led Zhou Li to the lift and brought her to the top floor of the 38th floor. There were flowers and plants in the glass house, and it was a different feeling. Especially from such a high place, one could look down from above. When Jiang Zhao saw Zhou Li, his face changed. Miss from the reception staff felt cold and said, Mayor Jiang, I have brought her over. Who asked you to bring her over? I. Miss from the reception staff was trembling. The approachable Mayor Jiang looked like he was going to eat someone. His face looked like it was covered with a layer of molten iron. Okay. You can leave now. Qin Fian pointed to Miss from the reception staff. When there were only Zhuang, Jiang, Qin, and Zhou Li left, Zhou Li questioned Jiang Zhao. Why didn't you answer my calls and reply to my messages? Jiang Zhao was furious and wanted to kick the stool. He did not expect this woman to comfort Yi Er at this time. All she had was money. He had promised to give her money, but she still refused to leave. I had said that I will transfer the money to you at night. You don't need to reply to my messages. You can leave now. I have something to attend to. Jiang Zhao, I am telling you. If you don't transfer the money to me now, I will make sure you regret it. What's there to regret? I had said that I will transfer the money to you at night. I have something to discuss with you now. I did not bring my laptop with me. Jiang Zhao swore that if it wasn't for the fact that this woman was his mother-in-law, he would have personally thrown her out. Zhuang Yichen sat at his original spot and did not move. He was watching this farce unfold. You are trying to fool me. Do you think I don't know? Jiang Zhao was too lazy to explain. On the bulletproof glass-like medium-sized round table, the aroma of tea filled the air. There were 4 chairs around the table. Zhuang Yichen and Qin Fian sat on 2 chairs. Jiang Zhao pulled out 1 chair and sat down. Zhou Li was irritated by Jiang Zhao's attitude. She turned around and walked away. She took out her phone and made a call. Jiang Zhao had just taken a sip of tea when he heard Zhou Li's loud voice coming from the elevator. Yi Er, Mommy is telling you that your father's death was caused by Jiang Zhao. He and Zhuang Yichen discussed stopping your father's treatment so that he would not wake up when he was sentenced. That way, they could appease you on the surface. Mommy heard it from outside the private room in the tea room. Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen had already jumped up from their chairs and rushed to the elevator when they heard the words, Jiang Zhao caused your father's death. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 703. Jiang Zhao was the first to grab the phone, while Zhuang Yichen viciously reached out and grabbed Zhou Li's neck. Zhou Li's eyes immediately rolled back into her head. Qin Fian anxiously tried to pry Zhuang Yichen's hand away. Yichen, calm down. This is a public place. Jiang Zhao picked up the phone and was so anxious that he was incoherent. Hello, Yin Yi, listen to me. There was a dead tone on the other end of the line. He tried calling again, but the phone was turned off. Yi Er was in the rehearsal room at the TV station. She was doing spot checks and practicing with Xiaoya. At this moment, she was discussing what kind of dance should be paired with what kind of costumes, and what kind of fabric should be used to achieve the best stage effect. The 2 of them cooperated very well. Each of them had their own opinions on their own areas of expertise. Then, they combined their opinions and made the final decision. Receiving Zhou Li's call was an accident, because Zhou Li only called her when she needed money. Just as she was about to pick up the phone and say that she didn't have any money, she heard this. Then, she hung up and turned off her phone. Xiaoya was a little flustered. She watched as Yi Er walked out of the rehearsal room expressionlessly with her phone in her hand. You could say that she was expressionless, but her face was full of tears. Xiaoya knew that the situation wasn't good, so she called Jiang Zhao. At this moment, Jiang Zhao was using his phone to call other places where Yi Er might be. Xiaoya called Zhuang Yichen. Zhuang Yichen picked up the phone and said in a bad mood, "What's the matter? Can you find Jiang Zhao? Yi Er's situation is very bad." "Where are you?" "In the rehearsal room at the TV station." "She ran out of the TV station now. I have to chase after her and find Jiang Zhao. I have to get her to contact me." "Okay, then hurry up." "Where's her bodyguard?" "It was the rehearsal room just now." "The bodyguard isn't inside." "Hurry up and tell him to follow you." "All right." Xiaoya liked to wear high heels because she wasn't as tall as Yi Er. Wearing high heels made her look like a queen. She liked that feeling, but chasing someone in high heels didn't make sense at all. She kicked off her shoes and chased after Yi Er, who was running towards the parking lot. Yi Er knew what he was thinking about during this period of time. Even though he was very busy, he couldn't help but think about his father when he was free. There was a tacit understanding between her and Jiang Zhao, and no one was willing to break it. She vaguely knew why he was free to deal with Chen Tong during that period of time. She associated it with the guilt that surfaced from time to time. Her father was clearly showing signs of waking up, but he suddenly acted abnormally and his condition fell into a deadlock again. She didn't ask, and he didn't answer. He didn't even console her. All he felt was guilt. With Jiang Zhao's strong and domineering personality, he wouldn't just keep quiet and not defend himself. If she didn't understand him, he would directly take her home and lock her up. How would he be so indulgent like now? Just like last time with the Ouyang Yen incident. Even if she caught him in bed, he could say that he didn't remember anything. He didn't admit it because deep down, he felt that he wasn't wrong. But this time, he didn't. Other than guilt, there was only guilt. The tacit understanding between them was flawless. Neither of them was willing to break that layer of cruel paper. He wasn't willing, and she was even more unwilling. They were both living a life of self-deception. They thought that as long as they didn't break it, they would still be husband and wife. The word husband and wife had a different meaning. At least to them, it was different. It was faith and reliance. But now that this layer of paper was broken, it was clearly just a layer of paper. She always thought that there was nothing behind the paper. But when she broke it, she realized that what came out was blood and viscous. She never wanted to admit that her father's death had something to do with Jiang Zhao, even if her father was a burden to Jiang Zhao. One was the man she loved the most, and the other was her father. Who was she supposed to choose? TMD. God must be blind to let her do such a multiple-choice question. Bit her lips so hard that they bled. The clothes on her chest were wet from the water dripping from her chin, but she didn't make a single sound. She wished that the cries she had swallowed at this moment were all poison that could rot one's intestines and stomach. Qin Fian chased after Jiang Zhao and realized that Zhuang Yichen didn't follow. He turned around and felt that something was wrong. He was worried about Jiang Zhao, so when he ran towards Jiang Zhao's car, he called Zhuang Yichen's cell phone. "Yichen, what do you want?" Zhuang Yichen's voice was as cold as a knife. "You haven't even finished your tea. Do you think it's so cheap to book a glass room for a day? I never spend money for nothing." Qin Fian heard Zhuang Yichen's voice and suddenly had a bad feeling. Zhuang Yichen had always been ruthless. He could even deal with his biological father and half-brother without frowning, let alone a woman like Zhou Li who had nothing to do with him. But Zhou Li was Yi Er's mother, and today she came to look for Jiang Zhao. "Yichen, Zhou Li is my sister-in-law's mother." I'm just drinking tea. Don't tell me about your family matters. I'm not interested." Zhuang Yichen hung up the phone. He was still in the glass room, at the edge of the corner of the building. He put his hands on the glass railing and looked down. There were ants in the building. Jiang Zhao had been in a bad mood recently. He could guess the reason even if Jiang Zhao didn't say it. After Yun Hongwei's death, Yun Yi didn't return to Ninth Mansion. At first, he didn't believe it, but later, he investigated and found out that Yun Yi ate and lived in the dance studio. She also stayed in a hotel when she picked up her brother on weekends. As a person in the situation, he knew what was going on. Logically speaking, he was also responsible for this matter. He didn't feel anything about Yun Hongwei's death. He didn't need to feel sad for someone who had nothing to do with him. But he never expected that Zhou Li would overhear their meeting in a place like the tea room. Yun Hongwei only stopped the treatment and suddenly died in a short period of time. This was an outcome he didn't expect. After his death, the forensic doctor also did an autopsy. The medication was normal and it wasn't due to lack of oxygen. Then it must be a natural death. "After you heard my conversation with Jiang Zhao, who did you tell?" Zhuang Yichen didn't turn around and asked calmly. I didn't." Zhou Li was afraid of Jiang Zhao at first, but after she found out that Jiang Zhao cared a lot about Yi Er, she started to become arrogant. She was actually a person who knew how to observe people's expressions. Just like now, Zhuang Yichen didn't even turn around to look at her. He only asked her in a calm voice. She could also feel the knife rolling under the waves, about to break through the wind and slash at her. "No. But I found out that the person who entered Yun Hongwei's room on the day of his death was you?" Zhuang Yichen turned around and leaned against the huge glass. His body seemed to be embedded in the sky, and he looked even more powerful. What he said was pure nonsense, but he liked to hear people's uncertain answers. He used a strong and firm method to force the other party's psychological defense to collapse. Moreover, his aura was at its peak now. To him, dodging and stammering were all signs of something fishy. I didn't. I really didn't. Zhou Li didn't dare to look at any of Zhuang Yichen's expressions. Even if Zhuang Yichen had a rare smile on his face, that smile was faintly discernible. It was better not to have it. At least, it wouldn't make people feel that even if he smiled a little, there was a sharp edge to it. It would make people feel that he was sinister. Then let's go and check the surveillance footage together. As Zhuang Yichen spoke, he stood up straight and straightened his collar. He raised his domineering chin, raised his eyebrows, and smiled. Thousands of flowers bloomed. Zhou Li's legs turned to jelly. She immediately held onto the flower stand beside her. Her hands were covered in mud as she looked timidly at Zhuang Yichen. President Zhuang, I definitely won't expose you. I won't. I promise, I didn't say these words to anyone. No one will cause trouble for you. Zhuang Yichen leaned forward and smiled. His lips were extremely thin. He gritted his teeth and said, but you still told others. Zhou Li suddenly sat on the ground. She knew that Zhuang Yichen owned Stars International, but she felt that the aura emitted from Zhuang Yichen's body was not the aura of a righteous person. It was more like the aura of a gangster wearing the guise of a righteous boss. President Zhuang, I was wrong. I was wrong. When I went to the hospital that day, I only whispered a few words in Yun Hongwei's ear. He was in a severe coma. How could he hear me? Other than him, I didn't tell anyone else. Zhuang Yichen's eyes darkened. Oh, then Jiang Zhao went overboard today. Zhou Li heaved a sigh of relief. I was just anxious. Jiang Zhao didn't give me the money. Zhuang Yichen sat on the chair and said calmly, didn't he say that he would transfer it to you tonight? But what if he cheated me? Cheated you? Did you ask him how much he wanted to cheat you? I just want 1 million or so. I don't want to ask him for money every month. Zhou Li's voice was soft. 1 million or so? Haha. Zhuang Yichen was pleasantly surprised as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. 1 million or so? Why is your appetite so small? Plucking a strand of hair from Jiang Zhao's body would cost more than 1 million, right? What did you say? He's that rich? I'm Zhuang Yichen's friend. If I didn't have money, why would I work with him? This was the truth. Money represented a kind of power. Zhou Li saw that Zhuang Yichen's smile was very natural and relaxed. I see. Thank you for telling me this. I'll tell him tonight. I'll call Yi Er now and tell him that I was talking nonsense. Zhuang Yichen slowly turned his head and sighed as if it was a pity. But, no one in High City knows that Jiang Zhao and I are friends. Zhou Li noticed that Zhuang Yichen's way of speaking was very strange. So secretive. The man's smile became more and more sly. Of course, this is a secret that can't be told. Then why are you telling me? Zhuang Yichen shrugged. I might as well tell you more. For example, the Peerless Beauty, the biggest and most high-end gambling den in High City, is mine. You probably don't know that there are 4 other underground casinos in High City, right? Those are places where you can make a lot of money every day. 2 of them are mine. The one that Ouyang Xing sold was also swallowed by me. I now have 3 casinos, and these things can't be handled by me alone. Jiang Zhao has a share in helping me, and Zhou Li suddenly felt that the situation was very bad. She hurriedly covered her ears and sat on the ground, trembling in fear. President Zhuang, I beg you. Please don't tell me. I don't want to hear any more. I don't want to know any more. I don't want to hear any more. I didn't hear anything. Awesome novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 704. But you already know so much. Zhuang Yichen leaned his elbow on the armrest of the chair. His body was slanted, and his fingers were spread open to support his forehead. He looked at the woman on the floor who was begging for mercy as if he was looking at a clown. I'm an inhumane person. I don't recognize my family, and I put my interests first regardless of whether I'm friends or not. Keeping you alive is really a scourge. Zhou Li's body suddenly turned cold. Was Zhuang Yichen trying to kill her? At this moment, she regretted coming to look for Zhuang Yichen. She was sure that Zhuang Yichen wouldn't do anything to her. Who knew that she would bump into Zhuang Yichen's gun? She never knew that this person could be so ruthless when he spoke. No, Zhuang Yichen. If you keep me alive, I promise that I won't cause you any trouble. Zhuang Yichen smiled and stood up. All right. You're already so old. I believe that you still have some credibility. But let me warn you, if you report me, you'll only die faster. How can you shake my power in such a short time? Also, if there's any movement on your side, I'll be the first to know. After he finished speaking, Zhuang Yichen walked away. Zhou Li only woke up from her dream when she heard the ding of the elevator in the distance. Zhuang Yichen left? At this moment, she couldn't think of anything else. She got up and ran away. Zhuang Yichen returned to the car. His hands were on the steering wheel, and his lips were pursed into a cold smile. Just as Yi started the car, Xiaoya caught up with him. After she got into the car, she quickly pulled out the car key, held it in her hand, and locked the door. Yi couldn't get out of the car. He anxiously climbed to the front passenger seat and tried to snatch the key from Xiaoya's hand. Xiaoya was considered petite compared to Yi. She was pinned down by Yi and couldn't fight back at all. Xiaoya. Give me back my keys. Xiaoya laughed shamelessly. Yo, Yun Yi. How dare you call me by my name? Don't you know that I'm older than you? Call me big sister. Yi was already upset, but Xiaoya made him even angrier. He had nowhere to vent his anger, so he scolded, Damn you. My sister is at the TV station. I'll call her down later. Call me big sister. Sister fart. Give me back my keys. You want to die? Do you want to die? If you want to die, I'll buy some sleeping pills for you later. I'll find 50 people to go from house to buy them. I'll buy enough to kill you. Xiaoya didn't know how to persuade people like ordinary people. She was as vicious as she could be. Come. You sit in the front passenger seat. I'll take you to commit suicide. Damn it, I'll take you to the top of the tallest building in Haicheng today. If I don't let you die happily, I'm not your sister. Who wants to die? You're the one who wants to die. She was really defeated by this damned woman. When did she say that she wanted to die? The women who played together all had a strong personality. Xiaoya had been in the business for a long time. She had been promoted by Zhuang Yichen long ago, so her boss attitude was even stronger. Although she couldn't beat Yi in a fight or snatch things from Yi, it didn't mean that her voice wasn't louder than Yi-er's. If Yi could shout, she could shout too. If you don't want to die, why are you running so fast to reincarnate? If you don't want to reincarnate, do you want to go racing and get into a car accident? Do you think it's easy for me to chase you? My high heels cost more than 30,000 a pair. Do you think it's easy for me to earn money? Using a man's money is something that I worked hard to earn. You have to pay for my shoes. Yi was immediately rendered powerless by Xiaoya's unreasonable and pestering skills. She needed to help Xiaoya. She needed to vent and her face was full of tears. What was this woman talking about? Stop talking nonsense. Scram. Scram to where? Where are you telling me to scram to? My feet are injured because of you. If I wear a pair of shoes that cost 30,000 a pair, how many pairs of shoes that cost 30,000 a pair will I have to wear in my lifetime? This is a pair of F*King expensive feet. Now that you've injured my feet, you have to pay for it. Xiaoya, Yi was sitting on Xiaoya's lap and suddenly started crying. When she cried, her shoulders shook violently. Xiaoya, Jia, bring me to bungee jumping. You can drive. Okay? Xiaoya originally wanted to fight to the death with Yi Er, but her heart suddenly softened. I'll drive. You can sit here. Before their car could leave the TV station, it was blocked by Jiang Zhao's car, followed by Zhuang Yichen's car. This time, Zhuang Yichen got out of the car faster than Jiang Zhao. He opened the car door, bent over, and said in a deep voice, "Your father's death was caused by your mother. Your mother has something to do with your father's death. You can confront her." Yi Er was stunned on the spot. She tilted her head and looked at Zhuang Yichen. What did you say? Your mother personally admitted to me that she was there on the day of your father's death. Your father must have been overly agitated, but his body was cremated long ago. At the time, we didn't investigate in detail, so we can't find anything now. But you can confront her immediately. Jiang Zhao was standing next to Zhuang Yichen, so he heard everything clearly. He opened the door to the back seat and sat in it. Xiaoya, please drive. If it was really Zhou Li, then shouldn't the barrier between him and Yi Er disappear? Yi Er took a deep breath. The tears on her face seemed to have dried up instantly. Even her voice was no longer trembling. Xiaoya, Jia, please drive. I'll tell you how to get there. So the person who killed her father was Zhou Li. This was easier for her to accept. She rejected that answer from the bottom of her heart. Because of this, she didn't dare to face it. Now that someone was willing to testify, she was willing to accept that everything had nothing to do with Jiang Zhao. And Jiang Zhao seemed to have suddenly grasped at a life-saving straw. He sat in the back seat and didn't make a sound. Inside the house, Zhou Li was confronted with the aggressive questioning of several people. She suddenly realized that she was in a very difficult situation. If she admitted to it, then she would lose Yi Er forever. She knew that Yi Er favored Yun Hongwei. If Yi Er didn't support her, then Jiang Zhao definitely wouldn't care about her anymore. But even if Yi Er ignored Jiang Zhao would still protect Yi Er. So even if she harmed Jiang Zhao, she couldn't lose Yi Er's protection. She definitely couldn't lose Yi Er. She definitely couldn't. Although the house was small, it was very clean. Zhou Li didn't dare to look at anyone. Because of her silence, every pair of eyes was strangling her. Yi Er. Mom, the CCTV showed that you went to look for Dad. What did you say to him? You agitated Dad to death, didn't you? Zhou Li could feel Zhuang Yichen's presence behind her. Her whole body trembled. She didn't know if it was out of guilt, fear, or a genuine desire to cry. In any case, she sat on the sofa and covered her face as she cried bitterly. At that time, I went to tell him that Sijie has grown up. I hoped that he would wake up soon and that it would be good for the family to be together. I also told him that you miss him a lot and that I was wrong in the past. I hoped that he would get better soon. Zhou Li. Welfare, Xinwu 799. Chapter 705. Zhuang Yichen suddenly shouted. Xiaoya was shocked and quickly held his hand. Yichen. Xiaoya was wearing the men's soft slippers that Zhuang Yichen had taken out from the car. They were not even as high as Zhuang Yichen's shoulders. She held on to Zhuang Yichen like a little bird, afraid that she would end up in a farce. Zhuang Yichen stopped in his tracks and said fiercely, Zhou Li. How dare you lie? This woman actually dared to lie in front of him. Even if Jiang Zhao believed Zhuang Yichen, he should have expected that Zhou Li would not admit to it. There were surveillance cameras, but surveillance cameras did not mean that there were recordings. No one knew the content, so she could have lied. The body had been cremated, so there was no evidence. Moreover, he had an undeniable responsibility. He always felt that even if there were setbacks in his political career, he would not fail. This was the worst move he had ever made in his life. It was so bad that he was unable to salvage the situation. Zhou knew that Jiang Zhao cared about Yi Er, so she brought so many people over. As long as Yi Er wanted to take care of her, Jiang Zhao would not ignore it. With Jiang Zhao around, she was not afraid of Zhuang Yichen. Mom, why did you lie to me like this? Why would you tell Dad all this? Yi Er shook her head and waved her hand. She did not want to listen anymore. She wanted to turn around and leave. She did not want to hear anything else. She would rather believe that her father was killed by her mother. That was it. She only wanted this answer. She did not want to know anything else. Yi Er, you have to believe Mom. Zhou suddenly pounced on Yi Er, who was about to turn around and leave. She hugged her and begged, Mom swears to you that if Mom lies, I will be struck by lightning and die without a complete corpse. I will not have a good ending. Yi Er, believe in Mommy. Your father has been good to me my whole life. I really regret it. I didn't lie. I really didn't lie. I heard with my own ears that Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen stopped the treatment to comfort you. If you don't believe me, you can ask Jiang Zhao. Think about it. If a person is doing well in the original course of treatment, but suddenly stops the same treatment, will there be other problems? Woo! Zhou Li's mouth was suddenly covered. Yi Er bit her lips. Her eyes were wide open and filled with tears. She wrapped her arms around Zhou Li's shoulders and covered Zhou Li's mouth with force, not allowing her to make a sound. Zhou Li's woo could be heard through the gaps between her fingers. Zhou Li struggled, but even though Yi Er had lost a lot of weight, she was still very strong. She did not allow anyone to get close to her, including Jiang Zhao. Everyone could see that Yi Er was in pain. Xiaoye had collapsed in Zhuang Yichen's arms. Don't look. If you don't look, then you don't have to cry. She hated women who cried so easily. She hated herself even more. Zhuang Yichen did not have a good impression of Yi Er. This woman had repeatedly disrupted his and Jiang Zhao's plans. But at this moment, even he could feel this woman's pain. The pain that she had been hiding all this time finally exploded after the fuse was lit. It caused this woman to have a mental breakdown. Yi Er took a deep breath. Her light cherry-colored lips were already bleeding from her biting. When her tears came out, her voice was like a painful whimper after being forcefully torn apart. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to listen to you. You've never told me the truth your whole life, Zhou Li. You've never told me the truth your whole life. I won't believe you. I won't believe you. Zhou Li, you lied to my father for 10 years. You lied to me for 10 years. You lied to Si Jia for 10 years. Tell me, why should I believe you? Why should I? Ah. Ah. Yi Er roared like she had lost her mind. She had been avoiding. Even though she had a premonition, even though Jiang Zhao's reaction had proven the answer, she still avoided him. She had decided that she would never meet Jiang Zhao again in this lifetime. She was also unwilling to admit that Jiang Zhao had caused her father's death. She would never. Avoiding him was a million times better than what she was experiencing now. But she was forced into a corner by this truth. All the cells in her body were exploding. She felt that she must have been badly mutilated. Otherwise, why would she be in so much pain? It had been so long. She had been separated from Jiang Zhao for so long, but she had never felt pain as clearly as she did now. After the anesthesia, the pain was unbearable for a normal person. Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao blankly. Is that so? Were you the one who discussed with Zhuang Yichen to stop the treatment for my father? Wasn't they forcing her to ask? Even if she didn't want to ask, these people were forcing her to ask. Yes. Jiang Zhao was a meter away from Yi Er as he answered weakly. When he made that decision, he didn't think that it would be exposed. But he couldn't lie to her and say no. Yin Yi, I'm sorry. I didn't think that there would be such a consequence. I don't blame you. You have your own difficulties. Yi Er shook her head. She spoke softly, closed her eyes, and looked up. After a while, when the atmosphere seemed to have calmed down, Yi suddenly screamed, "Ah!" Her tears gushed out again. Crying was the most direct way to vent, but the pain couldn't flow away with the tears. She pushed Jolie away and pushed her onto the sofa. Her body trembled violently as she opened her handbag, took out her wallet, and opened it. She pulled out a red banknote and threw it to Jolie. "Take it. Your favorite. I'll give it all to you." She took out the card inside and threw it at Jolie. As she threw it, she twitched and cried bitterly. "Take it. I'll give it to you. This is the money we got from selling our last villa. I couldn't bear to spend a single cent. I thought I'd save it for my younger brother to pay for his education. In the future, I'll save it for his expenses when he goes abroad. Take it, take it. I have a job. I can support him. This money, I'll give it to you. Take it and squander it." She took out another banknote and threw it over expressionlessly. This money was given by the TV station. "It's not a lot. Take it. I'll give it all to you." She took out another banknote and threw it over. She raised her arm to wipe the tears on her face. "Take it. This is all the income from my dance studio. I didn't even have time to calculate the profits. I'll give it all to you. I'll give you all of my money." After throwing away all of her money, Yi suddenly felt that all her energy had been drained. She had nothing else to throw and nothing to do. With a thud, she knelt on the ground and raised her neck. She moved in front of Jolie and held her knees. "Mom. Mom. I beg you to let me go." Jiang Zhao was already starting to feel dizzy. He felt that the things in his eyes were swaying. He was supposed to give a shoulder to the woman kneeling on the ground, but when he took a step, he felt that he was going to fall. He raised his hand to support himself on the wall. He said to Fei Yan, "I can't take it." He couldn't take it. He could take not seeing her and not getting along with her, but he couldn't take the pain of seeing her with his own eyes. "Why are you so cruel? Why are you so cruel? Have you ever been nice to me? Have you ever been nice to me like Dad? What do I have to do to make you treat me better?" "Ah. Ah." Yi grabbed Jolie's clothes and cried, "Why did you tell me? Are you that happy to see me living in pain? Are you that happy? Mom. You're my biological mother. How can you treat me like this? How can you do this? Don't you know that I don't want to know at all? I don't want to know. Do you understand? I don't want to know. I don't have a father anymore. You're going to destroy all of my fantasies." Yi could clearly feel her own despair. Someone else had told her the truth and let Jiang Zhao confront her. The content of the confrontation was the truth that she had never wanted to verify. The cruelest thing in the world was never lies, but the truth. Jolie didn't know that Yi would lose control like this. She regretted it for a moment, but when she saw Jiang Zhao looking at Yi with tenderness in his eyes, she stopped thinking about it. Jiang Zhao would definitely take care of Yi in the future. Zhuang Yichen felt that his presence was a little redundant. Jiang Zhao seemed to be holding back because of his presence, so he shouldn't continue to stay here. He bent down to pick up Xiaoye and said, "Contact them after I'm done." Then he walked out the door. As soon as he walked out the door, Xiaoye tried to crawl to the ground. Zhuang Yichen said coldly, "Don't you know that the soles of your feet are broken? But aren't you afraid that people will find out about our relationship? How many people in this neighborhood would know me? Do you think this is Ninth Mansion?" Xiaoye was speechless. Jiang Zhao walked over to Yi side and helped her up. "Yun Yi." Yi lowered her head and brushed away Jiang Zhao's hand. Then she bent down to pick up the other things that had fallen out of her bag. She wrapped up the empty money and put it in the bag. She took out a tissue from the small paper bag and used it to rub her face. Jiang Zhao blocked her way. "Yin Yi, come home with me." Yi Er kept her head down and used the tissue to rub her face. Ah Zhao, she called out in a trembling voice. Jiang Zhao was stunned. He reached out and pulled the woman into his arms. It seemed that only by hugging her in his arms could he feel more fulfilled. Ah Zhao, I don't blame you. Really? Yi Er sniffed. Her voice had completely gone through her nasal cavity. She said in a low, muffled voice, you had your difficulties. You must have had a hard time during those days. Yi Er didn't know why, but every time she said these words of understanding, her heart ached. But. Her hand rested on his chest and happened to touch his lips. She bit down hard, trying to use the pain here to cover the pain in her heart. But Ah Zhao, I can't say that Dad's sacrifice was worth it. I know that Dad deserved it. I know that you're suffering, but I can't say that Dad deserved to die. I really can't say it. I can't think that way in my heart. Do you know, it wasn't that Jiang Zhao didn't understand Yi Er's despair, but there was nothing he could do. He stroked Yi Er's hair and said, Yun Yi, I know. I know that I didn't do a good job. I made you unable to forgive me even if you wanted to. Let's go, Yi Er said plainly. I don't want to come here anymore. She wasn't the most upset about having such a mother. She was the most upset that he had something to do with her father's death. The most upset was that Jiang Zhao admitted that he had something to do with it. No one was willing to lie to her. Okay. Ah Zhao, let's get a divorce. I don't want anything. You've given me too much. We can talk about anything other than divorce. We can live separately. You can go to work in peace. I'll take care of Sijia. Hey, I'm going to move my things tonight. Don't come and pick me up. I'll go by myself. Okay. Her father and husband fell into the river and neither of them knew how to swim. Who should she choose to save if she jumped into the river? Yi Er wanted to jump into the river herself. She swam over, thinking that she could save both of them. She wouldn't give up on either of them. Because if she saved one of them, she would suffer a lifetime of pain for the other man. She wanted to be like Jiang Zhao's answer. She wanted to carry one and hug the other. But that was the weight of two men. One of them was a father who had loved her since she was young. He spoiled her and spoiled her. As his daughter, she felt that being a child was the happiest thing in her life. She would have the most beautiful and lively childhood. Welfare, Songshu 566. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.